What's going on, you bunch of heathens and hooligans? It's 6 o'clock. Wake up from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Well, free agent running back Kareem Hunt and linebacker Anthony Barr have signed with the Saints. Wait, nope. Diana got tricked. They left the Saints without a contract, and now Hunt is on his way to the Titans' divisional rival, the Colts, to figure out if he can get a contract going on with them. The Colts are needed some running back depth with Jonathan Taylor on the PUP and Zach Moss missing time with a broken arm. And they already signed Kenyon Drake last Friday, so seeing if they can get some more reinforcements in the backfield. Falcons' fourth-round rookie cornerback Clark Phillips III was carted off the field yesterday during joint practice with the Miami Dolphins with an apparent leg injury, but Arthur Smith updated the media saying yesterday that he is going to be okay and the move was precautionary. That makes 2 injuries the Falcons have now dodged, the first being Jeff Okudah. And Nashville SC stayed alive in League Cup play on Tuesday, but only after a wild ending to the Club America fans rushing onto the field in celebration at Geodis Park, and other people in attendance pepper the field with trash and debris. Nashville SC appeared to be eliminated from competition between the clubs from Major League Soccer and Mexico's Liga MX, but instead advanced to the quarterfinals of the knockout round on penalty kicks as they won 6-5 there after Jack Mayer was allowed to retake a penalty that had been saved. Nashville SC will host Minnesota on Friday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome to your Wednesday morning on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Another day closer to Tennessee Titans football. Titans Bears looming on Saturday. We've got the inaugural Game Week Scout Meeting Wednesday ready to go for you coming up in a matter of minutes. Bryan Rice from the Sports Animal in Knoxville. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio. A good morning to have a good morning with our guy, Ramon Foster, our capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass. My name is Will Bowling. Wednesday, August the 9th. How we feeling, everybody? Good morning.
Good morning,
We're
Kayla.
good.
Will?
We got messed up on our days. I did. I didn't know what day it was. I guess it happens when football season's about to be here. You're just so anxious for it to start that every week kind of rolls into each other as you're counting down, I guess.
It seemed like every day has its task. And
Yeah.
you just fill in another task some days. So, like during football season, that's what I was just like. Like you said, Mondays are just the day after and Tuesdays. And it's, you know what I'm saying? That's exactly how I feel too about it, which is a good thing because there's a lot of stuff coming out.
Flow.
Yeah, it's flow. There
Not
we
on the
go.
hair.
And
the
not
head.
the commercial lady.
Right.
Flow
I
from
generally
Progressive.
forget what
Progressive.
day it is on Saturday
Do
when I
you?
wake up and go, and it's light
Yeah.
outside, and
100%.
I've forgotten that I'm off and I don't have to be up before the sun comes
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I'm still up early on Saturday, some days anyway.
What? How early?
7 o'clock.
up. You're crazy.
Okay.
I know.
You're crazy.
My internal clock is
Mine
it's so like on point. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, how late will Kayla and Robert, how long do y'all sleep on like weekends?
You guys are going to hate me. I still have that internal clock go off at 4 a.m.
Really?
Yeah. So
Oh,
I
wow.
have to actually make myself go back to bed. And I think the best I can stretch it to is about 6:30, 7 at the latest.
Jeez.
That's about right. Yeah.
I live with a big proponent of sleep. Cheyenne will sleep 12 hours a day if no
Oh,
one
wow.
would mess with
Same.
her. So
Yep.
I'll wake up at around 7 or 8 and then notice that she's still asleep. I'll go up, make me some breakfast, and then go right back to sleep. Sometimes, and this is a trick, y'all, people might not think so because I have like an ick about getting in bed wet, but if you go take a shower and then get back in bed, that sleep afterwards is next level sleep.
I can believe that.
That actually is true.
Give it a shot.
I can
Okay.
believe that.
I'll sleep till like 10:30 or 11. on Saturday.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That's what I'd like. If there's nothing going on, that's the dream, man.
Same on Sundays.
I could never, even as a kid, I could never do it.
I've never been like
Big
that.
time.
I think that's why. But that's the thing, though. There are people that are either people who can really sleep in and will probably, I don't know, maybe this is wrong. When you started this morning show, it was like a different schedule for you completely, was it?
Very much so. That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but some people are more late sleepers and some just have always gotten up early.
So, Chris, the smell of crispy bacon doesn't wake Cheyenne up and be like, oh, it's time to start the weekend.
If it woke her up, she would text me and say, "Bring me some," and then she would eat and roll back over. But
Love that.
all of us kind of making it work. But Will, you probably had the most exciting night.
Yeah.
Are you awake?
Yeah. This was the craziest sporting event other than Tennessee football that I've been to.
Wow.
Probably other than a 5-overtime game in 2003 in Tuscaloosa when Tennessee beat Alabama, then Tennessee-Alabama this past year. There have been some other ones that are up there.
Yeah.
So essentially, the best way to describe this is this was a mix between Tennessee-LSU when there were too many men on the field and the game was over, then it wasn't, and then also Tennessee-Ole Miss where fans took it upon themselves to throw everything literally in the world on the field. Because both those things happened last night. And that was just like the last 20 minutes. Essentially, Nashville led 1-0 in the 62nd minute. Club America, a team that has won 13 Mexican titles in Liga MX, 14 continental championships in North America, which essentially means that every team in North America plays together, and they've won 14 of those too. And then they're the New York Yankees of Mexican soccer.
Okay.
Wow.
Their fans, it was maybe, I don't want to speculate on what the percentage was. They had a ton of fans there. It's like when the Yankees go anywhere. They equalize in the 78th minute, and then there's a handball against Nashville that has a lengthy review. And so in the 5th minute of stoppage time, Club America takes the lead, 2-1. So there's no draws in Leagues Cup, what this competition is. So if it's tied after 90 minutes, then you go straight to penalty kicks. Well, Nashville obviously is down 2-1 at this point. So basically, 5 minutes of stoppage time had already elapsed, and then they added 5 minutes. So essentially, you had protests from the Club America fans the second it started, because not like actual protests, just like, booing, whistling, the things,
Lots of noise.
soccer fans do. And they were already protesting like as the game restarted. But you get that 5 minutes back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since there was a review and a penalty kick being taken until that minute. So then you guys know that Nashville SC has a brand new player, Sam Surridge, striker from England, who made his debut last night. And in the 100th minute, Sam Surridge does this. To Dax McCarty. McCarty over the top. Hani Mukhtar on it. 2 defenders back. Sam Surridge sprinting into the box. Hani floats across in. Sam Surridge! Super Sam scores for Nashville. He is here, ladies and gentlemen. In the 9th minute of stoppage time, Nashville 2, Club America 2. So that was the first part.
Wow.
I had my Sean McDonough moment of, I'm the last player. And I was very embarrassed about that. Still am a little bit. So then it's 2-2 and goes to penalties. It's wild that this was not even when the craziness, honestly, got to its peak. Nashville and Club America saves Nashville's first penalty from Hani Mukhtar. Nashville ties it up where it's 4-4 going into the 5th round of pens. Wow. So at this point, it's basically sudden death. Like if they were going first, so if they make it, we had to make it.
Right.
So then they save a penalty from our 23-year-old center back, Jack Mayer, and the game's over. They are running on the field. We had a couple of fans run on the field at that point we had fans during the game, 2 of them, try to come take selfies with the Club America players, like as they're just standing on the field. And they did. So then as the celebration's happening and their fans are going crazy, we're in the middle of commercial. And you see the referee waving his arms and pointing to our player, Jack Mayer, who missed the penalty, and pointing him to come back. And so guys are getting brought back on the field. I'm like, whoa, wait, they're gonna take this again.
What?
So if the goalkeeper comes off the goal line before the penalty is taken, then VAR, video assistant referee, the basically the replay booth can overturn it and say no, retake it. And so 10 minutes later, after roughly 20 to 30 people rushed the field and stuff's being thrown on the field, like literally Tennessee Ole Miss, they have to come back out, and Jack Mayer puts it in and scores after standing there with the ball in his hand for 7 minutes waiting.
Wow, dude.
And then Nashville, after a very good Club America player, their captain, hits the crossbar, Nashville sends us and me, thankfully, home. Lovitz against Malagone. He shrugs his shoulders, approaches, shoots, and scores! Never count out Nashville! The boys in goal never gave up, and they are headed to the quarterfinals of Leagues Cup 2023. Good night, Club America. Buenas noches, indeed.
That's good. That's good.
So anyway,
Did you have a favorite foreign object that was thrown in the field? My favorite was a half-eaten sandwich that you can see hit right behind the goalpost.
Yummy.
Like, come on, I would have finished that. That's the big boy in me. I ain't throwing no food. I'll throw a cup.
You're not wasting that.
it was wild, and you're all allowed to roast me for my voice cracking on Sam Surge's goal, and it was pretty bad. My broadcast partner certainly did afterwards. Giuliani Baba was like,
Did he?
oh, but yeah.
Here's the difference. You don't do that every single time you do a call, right? And the one time you do it, like we all are in things that we do outside of here and even in here, you're going to be very critical on yourself.
Critical.
It was so fast, and there was so much more excitement in that moment that I would have not probably even noticed that as much until you pointed it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you did a bad job at all, dude.
But I get it. I get it.
Yeah, definitely. That was solid, though. I thought it was pure. I thought the excitement came out. The fact that it happened and I know it irks them is one, not even irks them, just like I know that you wanted it different in that. It makes it even more better to me. That's awesome right there. Look at my dog with a call right here, Kayla.
That's a big call.
Look at this.
It was crazy.
It's a big call.
Like Club
Big
America
game.
has 5 million followers on Twitter.
Like, that is
Like
nuts.
they're probably, other than the Dallas Cowboys
Sheesh.
and the New York Yankees, they're probably the third biggest team in like North American sports. They honestly might be right there with. They're close. They're
Because
like
it's
the
big
third
down
biggest brand in sports in North America.
Right. They're like born with soccer balls in Mexico.
It was crazy. So
For real.
That's tight right
anyway, that was my night, and that's why I didn't really get any sleep. A little more than that, but that's okay.
That's good.
It works out.
That's your first big call?
I mean, no, I've had some other ones, but I mean, not to brag, obviously. Like, I'm not trying to come at it from that perspective. Like, I've had other big moments that are cool.
Mm-hmm.
But this was like I don't know. I beat myself up a lot after it, but it is what it is. Y'all are getting super authentic and honest, Will, this morning, but that's okay.
Hey, let it
It's like
fly.
confessions of Will.
I talked myself into liking it, not loving it, but whatever. It was a really fun night. What matters is that
Sounded
Nashville
like
SC
it.
got a huge
It
win,
was,
and
yeah.
it was awesome.
Real quick, can I ask you real quick? Does that get more tiring, though, since they keep on playing during what a lot of teams have maybe a break?
Honestly,
Yeah,
at this
that's
point,
fair.
they're going to play this weekend again.
Okay.
So everyone left is dealing with the same thing, but for Nashville, it's actually an advantage because they don't have to travel. So they're going to host the quarterfinal on Friday. And then if they win, they've got a chance to host again early next week. They have a chance to host the final.
That's big.
I mean, if it's
That
Lionel
is
Messi
big.
coming to Nashville, they would
Oh
host
my
Lionel
gosh.
Messi in Miami
Could you
here.
imagine?
Oh,
Could
That's
you
what I'm saying.
imagine?
no, I couldn't. I could not. And not with this dude.
So, yes, they have a little bit of an advantage there. The thing is that they have bridged the gap between this big break, where since they advanced, they didn't have a month off. That would have actually been a bigger issue. Had they had a month off of just nothing, that
Nothing.
would have been weird. So,
Okay.
anyway. Coming up, back into the Titans conversation, a little scout meeting Wednesday on the Chicago Bears, who host the Titans Saturday afternoon. Coming up right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
It's Ramon Foster for Genesis Diamonds, and don't be surprised this week to see other jewelry store owners shopping at Genesis Diamonds. They'll be taking advantage of Genesis' most aggressive offer ever. And you're probably asking yourself, what is that, Ramon? Well, all their GI diamond engagement rings are marked down an extra 20% below Genesis' everyday price. That's right, the vault is open, and Genesis is selling the finest handcrafted diamond rings at rock bottom prices for a very limited time. The GIA also is the world standard in diamond grading. They certify accuracy and document quality so you can buy with confidence. Every Genesis engagement ring is included in this event, from a half a carat to up to 20 carat stones, all shapes. They have rounds, radiants, pear-shaped, princess cut, emerald cuts, cushion cuts, ovals, whatever you want, they have. There has never been a better time to get an extreme value price on a GI certified diamond that perfectly set in a gorgeous engagement ring. Hurry in for the best selection. It's Genesis GI Diamond Extravaganza, where you can save an extra 20% on these rare, precious diamond rings for a limited time, and it's one per customer, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs. See store for details.
Wednesday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number.
I like this beat.
With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh spinning the hits. I'm Will Boulding. We get to Scout Meeting Wednesday coming up in just a moment. We've got a star of the day at Titans training camp yesterday. We'll tell you about one defensive player that was stealing the spotlight. A good kicker minute today. Of course, Rhett, Bryan at 9 o'clock. Tons to discuss in the Titans world, but it is time to scout an opponent the Titans are going to play. Yes, an opponent that wears different uniforms to your Tennessee Titans. Robert Walsh, hit the music.
I love that music right there. It just gets you going.
He is the one and only Ramon Foster with our Scout Meeting Wednesday. Chicago Bears.
Meeting Wednesday, y'all.
The sounds of NFL films.
Love it. We are right back into the mix of everything right now. Chicago Bears finished fourth in the NFC North last year with a 3-14 record. God, that's hard living. That's hard living, Kayla.
That is.
Head coach Matt Eberflus, heck of a last name, by the way. Everything is making me go squirrel this morning. Last name Eberflus is
Sounds
insane.
like an instrument off of The Grinch. And the children were playing their Eberfluses.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't just me. Or they were sipping on Eberfluses with tonic.
Ooh,
You know what I'm saying?
I like a little Eberflus on the side
Sipping
with
on
the
gin
rocks.
and tonic.
Man, there we go. But this is insane. I have like notes about specific stuff, and this one is different from like strengths and weaknesses because we're going to see players more than anything, and not a real game plan. I guess pulling the curtains back a little bit. The first preseason game, usually the second, coaches don't do anything. They give you the baseline of what we're going to run. They'll tell you, hey, we're going to keep it as generic as we possibly can. And because of that, just go play ball. That's all we want to see you do. And in that, though, you get sidetracked by a lot that's going on. This team, y'all, I'm not sure if you looked at the roster, I'm sure you have, has a lot of everyone else's free agents or prove-it guys on it, including a few Vols and a boatload of former Titan players. They are Nashville North right now.
They're all over Nashville people.
Hear me out right now. Valus Jones Jr., Vol. Nate Davis, former Titan. Darnell Wright, former Vol. Deontay Foreman, former Titan. Kari Blasingame, DeMarcus Walker, Cairo Santos, Dylan Cole. This is a family
Holy
reunion
smokes.
this weekend.
Sure is.
This is a family reunion, man. I got Justin Fields in here because I do think he's going to play some since he's still a young guy, new wide receivers, and them trying to figure out what's what with them. Luke Getsky is their offensive coordinator. But what I have about him, man, last year, 2,200 yards passing through the air, 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 60% completion rate. What's most impressive about Justin Fields, and I think this is why a lot of people are very excited about him, he had 1,143 yards last year, rushing with 8 touchdowns. This man will zip and zap all across the field on you. But that's as much as we're probably going to see out of him as a series or two. We should expect to see, here we go, P.J. Moore and another Tennessee Vol legend, Nathan Peterman. Okay. He is also on this team.
Peterman.
Yeah.
Love it.
So there's another individual right there. P.J. Moore, if I'm not mistaken, came from the USFL at one point in time, or XFL, ended up with Carolina. Now he's making a career for himself.
Nathan Peterman, yeah.
We should see some field time with Fields and his new toy, DJ Moore. Traded from the Carolina Panthers this offseason. It'll be interesting to see if Christian Fulton lines up against him if everybody plays. This is if type of week. If everybody plays. Giving Justin Fields some much-needed help, and apparently DJ Moore lit it up on Family Day. He was worth the trade from what they're saying right now. So if he gets a series or two, even better. I'd expect to see Cole Kmet. Robert Tonyan is also there. Goodness.
P.J. Walker is the quarterback.
P.J. Walker.
Not P.J. Moore.
Oh, my bad. I said DJ Moore.
TJ Moore?
DJ Moore.
You put me in a mental pretzel for a minute, but we got it. We're good.
I did put PJ Moore. Oh my gosh, I'm tripping. Well,
Quick demerit, but we move.
That is a demerit. We're moving on. Players mess up, man.
They do.
But Chase Claypool is also in this. How do you say Equanimous?
Equanimous St. Brown.
Equanimous St. Brown is on this team too, along with Valus. Valus is a speed guy. He's also a return guy. They signed Mercedes Lewis, but I doubt he plays as old as he is. There's no reason.
How old is Mercedes at this point?
18 years at tight end, I
So
think.
he's a vintage
he's
Mercedes.
used. At this point, Mercedes Lewis, I think you could maybe, I don't know what the Kelly Blue Book would be for him.
Right?
But at 39 years old,
That is crazy.
got a little mud on the tires.
Kicking the tires a
Brad
little bit
Paisley.
right there.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
There's a lot of names there, though.
There is a lot.
They like low key,
My
just real
goodness.
quick. They are the all name team. Not to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
like on defense, Yannick Ngakoue.
yeah.
Yeah.
On offense, legitimately, like Darnell Mooney's a kind of fun name. Chase Claypool's kind of a fun name. Cole Kmet, Kari Blasingame, Cody Whitehair
Yeah.
at center. Equanimous St. Brown.
Brother of Lions.
Anytime you want
Yeah.
to talk about Equanimous, just point
Wide
at me and I got you.
receiver,
I got Equanimous.
you go. You're
I
good.
wanted to call it Equestrian one time.
he does run like a horse.
St.
Right?
I'm going to pick up lunch yesterday for us at Chick-fil-A. This sweet kid, okay, comes out. Raymond.
Oh, no.
I'm just like, bro.
Wait.
Ramon.
But you're blessing his
Oh,
heart.
they
right?
said your
that-
name was Raymond?
Every time. Okay?
Everybody
So,
loves Raymond.
I try
That's
not to mess
true.
up folks' names. You feel me? Equanimous St. Brown. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. But their newly bid offensive line, which is the issue that Justin Fields had last year, including Nate Davis, who I'm sure is going to want some reps against his old team.
Sure.
Like, we have a lot of familiarity in this, okay? Their issues have started with the offensive line, which is why they drafted Darnell in the top 10. Hopefully that helps. They do have a Pro Bowl center. You just brought up his name, Cody Whitehair. Wonder what his grandfather looked like.
Gray.
Gray,
Probably.
white hair. Probably so.
I
but
could see a scenario of that.
that's all I have for the offense. Again, this is preseason. Nobody has any stats, and it's going to be a bunch of rookies and guys we don't know. If there's any tidbit that you guys know about the Bears,
Justin Fields, are we assuming, is playing?
with the new wide receiver core,
Yeah.
new tight ends, I would expect him to get some reps. Again, I think Tanny gets about a series or two. Hopefully the coaches talk it through and be like, hey, we're just going to wrap this thing up into a bow, 2 series apiece, and then we'll get out safe. And so that's what usually happens in first preseason games. But moving over to the defense, I put in my notes, it should be noted that out of their 10 draft picks this year, 7 were on defense. D lineman from Florida, Javon Dexter Sr. They have a cornerback, Tariq Stevenson, Zach Pickens, Noah Sewell. That's another name right there. Sewell. I think his brother's Panay, who's with Detroit.
Penei Sewell.
Yep. Terrell Smith, Travis Bell, and another safety, Kendall Williams. This is who I expect to see for the most part. You look at their 2-deep roster, most of their 2-deep is from this draft class right here. So they are young. They are a bunch of guys who are trying to prove it. And I think Chicago's at a point with their new GM who's just been heralded as one of the smartest guys right now when it comes down to it, Ryan Poles. He's kind of dealed and shuffled that program around. You're going to see a lot. But from there, they drafted 3 D linemen. So they have a second and third. So the second and third offensive line for the Titans should see a lot of them. Starter review. New middle linebackers, too. Both of them. Starting with former Buffalo Bill, another name, Tremaine Edmonds.
Yep.
And also former Philly linebacker, who I was actually surprised to see him leave, TJ Edwards. He's been very solid. If I'm not mistaken, he had like 157 tackles for Philly last year. Free agency hits, and he's out,
He's
though.
out the door.
I don't really expect to see much out of them. Same with the Titans. But other notable guys, Andre Billings from Cincinnati played against him. Strong, big body guy. It should be a good test for Brewer. Also for Skoronski. Strong body dude, run stopping dude. Man, they got the hands full if he plays 1 or 2 series regardless. But Yannick is there if he's in good shape. He's a high motor guy. I know we hardly label black guys, hey, he's a motor guy. Yannick is a high motor guy, okay? We just kind of say, oh, he's an athlete. No. Yannick is a high motor guy. He
The lunch
forever
pail,
goes hard. Yeah.
First in, last out.
Big time.
Jim Rat.
That's him. I expected so much out of him when he played for the Jags, man. Jim Rat, but neither here nor there. If he's in good shape, he should be all right, man. Also, on this team, Dylan Cole is on the second deep. He's on the second string roster, too, or second string depth chart, too. Back end is filled with Eddie Jackson, 2-time Pro Bowler, very solid safety. So they have a lot there.
Yeah.
But I think the puzzle pieces are just shuffled on the
They're
table.
a little more scattered.
Yeah, they are.
I feel like this on defense, they're like you had mentioned, because most of their draft class was defensive, opposite of the Titans, which was was all offensive players. It does seem like the defense is still pretty young. Mm-hmm. Like you said, it's got to mold a little bit, have some room to mold a little bit, but you're still kind of worrying about the offense. Is it going to be enough to allow Justin Fields to be Justin Fields? Mm-hmm. Are these new receivers, Chase Claypool in his second year, can he take a step forward? Because he wasn't much of anything last year in that first year. So it's a kind of a mixed bag, I feel like.
It is a mixed bag, and DJ Moore is a huge addition for them.
That is a big addition.
Yes. Is that the move that pushed Carolina number one overall, was the DJ Moore trade?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
That happened early off season. Wasn't it like March? February, March?
About a month
It was
before
during the SEC tournament because I was in Bridgestone Arena while Tennessee was playing against Ole Miss, I believe, as it happened.
So March, yeah.
About March. A lot of Chicago is what they are. That's what I have on.
I need
chef.
You know,
I need a double deep dish pizza after that one.
You do. You do need a deep dish after that. Double deep dish on that one. But fascinating thing. Should be a good first time game for the Titans, though.
Yeah.
A couple things on real quick. Sorry, Robert. The two analytic things I want to add real quick. Justin Fields, according to Aaron Schatz, doing the analytics side of things for Football Outsiders in the NFL world, had an interesting take on him a week ago where he said Justin Fields as the most bet player to win MVP is fascinating. So he says, let's say Fields is such a good runner that to win the MVP, all he has to do is be an average passer, which in the DVOA world, which we get too, hyped up with acronyms or we don't even know what they stand for in analytics. People just give us a number. We're like, oh, that's good. So I don't like using these things as primary sources. I feel like I always have to give that disclaimer when we talk analytics. But when there's this much statistical evidence behind something, I think it's interesting. There's one quarterback since 1981 who was as bad as Fields for the last 2 years and then above average, according to analytics. Jeff George in 1993. Justin Fields has not had a good first 2 seasons.
Right.
He's had nothing to work with on his offensive line. He's had no one to throw to every single day he's been the Chicago Bears quarterback, but interesting that there's such little statistical evidence for a guy going from being bad to above average in a year 2 to year 3 jump, where there literally is one player that's done that since 1993.
Golly.
So thought that was interesting.
Yeah,
and then,
that is interesting.
Inky Ngakoue, we talk about his motor as a pass rusher. Certainly true.
Yeah.
From 2020 to 2022, his pass rush PFF grade has been between 56.9 and 76.2. He even had a 90.5 grade in 2017. His run defense grade in that time has been between 28.2 and 45.8. The reason why he was still on the street is because the dude has no interest in stopping the run. So much so where defensive coordinator Alan Williams was asked about it and said, he'll be just fine. And then I love this quote. He can choke a guy out. Believe me about that. Which is a wild line to say about somebody you've had on your roster for like a couple weeks.
Choke a guy out.
All right. I'd take him on my team any day.
That's what I'm saying. So if he's going to be a pass rush specialist for the team, that'll be a good test for Dillard. Jalen Duncan also, if he's in there earlier. It's a good tester this weekend. It just really is, man, for all across the board with this team.
And I think it helps with the familiarity, like you had mentioned. Like they've got that with Atlanta when they play Atlanta this year, but they have that with Chicago in this first preseason game. I think that always helps when you know some of the pieces that are up there. You're familiar with them.
Yep.
And it'd be interesting to see how Terrell Williams, defensive line coach for the Titans, kind of handles those head coaching duties on Saturday. That'll be interesting.
And the goal is, I guess, what do you want to see? You want to see them win, or do you want to just see certain stuff you hadn't seen in the game? Like, that's my question for preseason usually.
I never really care about the wins. Personally, I think it's more about if you're seeing growth in the departments where you're looking to see growth. If you're seeing some of these rookies take steps forward now that it's using their skills in a game setting, not just practice. I think that's where you really get what you need to get out of it, not necessarily a win. A win's good. but it's a preseason.
Now, don't you
game.
go down playing preseason wins because one is on the road.
I knew
this
that was
week.
coming.
It's coming. 23 in a row,
boy.
about to be 24. Can't wait for this to get clipped and y'all shove it in my face.
Well, honestly, if you were a Colts fan, Jim Irsay would have already hung a banner.
True.
Give us a
Preseason
ring.
champions, 6-time defending.
Oof.
Yeah.
So what's our streak right now? What's the streak?
22 games in a row for
Oh, it ain't
Baltimore.
we.
For Baltimore.
It is not we.
Oh.
The Ravens have won 22 preseason games in a row. How do you not know about this?
You think I care
And
about
they
the
brag
Ravens?
about it, baby. And they brag about
Come on,
it.
this is like, how could you not know about like the most important stuff?
Oh
Give me
my
the
God,
answer.
he roped me into a Baltimore
He
conversation.
goes, so what is it for?
That good depth,
Titans?
man. It's all that good depth we've got.
Right?
Your depth of character, all I'm worried about, Robert Walsh. Coming up, 2 national headlines about the Titans that are very unkind on Tuesday afternoon. ESPN predicting Ryan Tannehill's downfall. NFL.com ranking every team in the NFL for their preseason power rankings. And this sounds very clickbaity, but you're never going to believe where the Titans are because genuinely you probably won't believe where they have the Titans ranked. Coming up next.
This is Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency, an agency that was founded by the ground up in 2010. Chris Ingram, a passionate insurance expert, along with his team of fully licensed professionals, they have actually created an agency with one of the largest personal lines in Tennessee. The Ingram Agency, writing insurance all across the state and for personal lines, like I'd mentioned, in multiple other states. You need insurance. This is the company to work with, specializing in a wide array of products, including auto. They've got home, life, boats, RV rental, homes, motorcycles, you name it, much, much more. This isn't your average insurance company either. The Ingram Agency, founded on passion for education and support, and their goal has always been to guide and protect clients comprehensively. If you want a family-owned insurance company with people who care about customer care, call the Ingram Agency at 615-206-8276. That's 615-206-8276.
Wednesday morning continues at RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is how you join in. Coming up in hour number 2, we'll get you sound from the Titans practice field, and specifically on NFL Network, where Ian Rappaport gave more clarity and color as to why DeAndre Hopkins is a Tennessee Titan and not a New England Patriot. Some interesting stuff from him yesterday. First, guys, between the positive of what Ian Rappaport said about the Titans yesterday that we'll get to, I want to start with Dan Graziano of ESPN.com. And Dan may be an upstanding gentleman who's a fine enough guy. But I think as a whole, ESPN's view of the Titans quarterback situation is completely backwards. So much so where ESPN Plus and Dan Graziano just speculated on 14 quarterbacks in interesting scenarios and predictions of what's going to happen. This is given as the most likely outcome by ESPN Plus this morning. Will Levis takes the job from Tannehill at some point this year, either during the season or after it's finished, and Tannehill is on the free agent market next offseason. Heck, if the Titans really struggle in the first half of the season, Tannehill could even be an appealing trade target at the deadline. That's Dan Graziano of ESPN.com.
I would say he's taken that a little bit too far into the future. And I don't agree with anything really, at least for right now, what you're looking at. Ryan Tannehill as the clear number 1 quarterback this year and doesn't look like, unless he gets hurt and Will Levis takes over for that reason. I don't see Will Levis taking over for the reason because Tannehill sucks that bad.
Right.
I don't see that case at all. And for the future, that's to be determined. I get that. I mean, even if Tannehill does have a really good year, but they feel strong in Levis's growth, maybe they do use that as a trade situation because they can get out something out of Tannehill if he has a good year. Or they could simply say, we're going to wait one more year because we don't like the progress of Levis or Malik. I'm not going to completely take Malik Willis out, but yeah, I just feel like that's a little bit of a stretch there.
I'm with you. I think Graziano is a stand-up guy from ESPN as far as his reporting and still been employed out of all the people they fired. But nobody like trades franchise quarterbacks. And yes, Tannehill's a franchise quarterback as it stands. Mid-season, nobody does that. So that, to me, was somebody that got cliff notes from one of his like interns or something like that. Like, you got to just pretty much dismiss this conversation right here.
Like, after the season, if something happens where, they feel like they want to move on or whatever and they can have some value in Tannehill, but not mid-season.
Not mid-season. Most likely outcome, him and Levis having a conversation about, making a move. Well, that means the Titans probably having a bad season. They probably decide to move on early. Yeah. I just don't see it going in that direction that fast, that bad.
I think the most likely outcome as we sit here on August 9th, 2023, is that Ryan Tannehill probably gets a 1 or 2 year deal and sticks around in order to bridge the gap a little bit further to Levis. That's my guess at this point.
All this depends on, excuse me, my voice is cracking right now.
We're all cracking this morning, I know.
All this depends on the growth of Levis. Yep. It really does. And most rookie quarterbacks struggle. So it's a matter of the Titans are in a position to struggle right now.
And if Mike Vrabel's your head coach, the motto is not "we're ready to struggle."
No, exactly.
He's ready to win as many games as they can win.
That's the point.
So from that to NFL.com, who does preseason power rankings on all 32 teams. We're going to play Guess That Ranking again. Give me a guess on where they have the Titans ranked. Not where the Titans should be ranked, where NFL.com has the Titans ranked.
Considering Graziano, I'm going to go no higher, no sooner than 19. So I'm going to go 21.
I'm going to say I just don't think anyone is giving them any respect right now. So I'm going to go a little lower, 27th.
23.
We're in between, Caleb.
NFL.com has the Titans at 23. Teams they have ranked ahead of the Titans. The Denver Broncos, the Green Bay Packers, the New England Patriots. That one makes no sense to me.
Nope.
Pittsburgh Steelers, New York Giants. They have New York Giants 18th, which I think is also. I think the Giants are better than 18th.
They're better.
They have the Atlanta Falcons ranked ahead of the New York Giants.
Yeah, right.
Really?
I'm going to
New
NFL.com.
Orleans Saints. New
Wow.
Orleans Saints at 15.
No.
The Cleveland Browns at 13.
Oh,
I'm a little.
whoever Eric is,
Confused on
lead
this.
draft writer. He must have just came
Eric
out of the
Edholm.
draft room. Yeah, he must
Eric
have just.
Edholm. Yep.
Is he from New
my
Orleans?
Gosh.
I don't know.
Let's find his Twitter and spam. No.
I did see Daniel Jones seem to be struggling in joint practices right now, but come
did
on,
see
look
that.
at the Giants. Look at their head coach, Brian Daboll, and just what he's done, the progress they've made. I don't see. I think that's a little low for them too.
Crazy. So anyway,
I would've
there's
thought-
your National Media Minute.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, bro.
23rd, folks.
And look, again, we tell you guys all the time, too, that, don't go to a place that's going to give you a bird's eye view when you can
Yeah.
just listen to us and we're going to give you the on the ground level view.
Real perspective.
But I think it is interesting just to take the pulse of what other people think about this team, because I think the national media's guess on what this Titans team is going to be is as off base this season as it has been in quite some time. I think this team is legit.
Best comment in F&M Bank Chat from Big Country. Throw this list away.
Yeah, that's right.
And I love that. The big country.
Big Country.
Big country with a K. Yeah, you're right. And the biggest thing about this team, I think you've got to feel really good about, especially early on in camp, is this defense. Look, that front is just freaking nasty.
Let's talk about that after the break, because the Titans training camp report coming up in hour number 2 is very kind of the defense and specifically one newcomer to the Titans roster. We'll talk about that, as well as Ian Rappaport yesterday on NFL Network on why DeAndre Hopkins is a Titan and not a Patriot, as hour 2 begins next on 104.5 The Zone.
This is Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency, an agency that was founded by the ground up in 2010. Chris Ingram, a passionate insurance expert, along with his team of fully licensed professionals, they've actually created an agency with one of the largest personal lines in Tennessee. The Ingram Agency, writing insurance all across the state and for personal lines, like I had mentioned, in multiple other states. You need insurance, this is the company to work with. Specializing in a wide array of products, including auto. They've got home, life, boats, RV rental, homes, motorcycles, you name it, much, much more. This isn't your average insurance company either. The Ingram Agency, founded on passion for education and support, and their goal has always been to guide and protect clients comprehensively. If you want a family-owned insurance company with people who care about customer care, call the Ingram Agency at 615-206-8276. That's 615-206-8276.
What's going on? 7 o'clock on the dot. Well, now it's 7:01. What's going on? Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Free agent running back and linebacker Anthony Barr left the Saints without a contract now, and Hunt is on his way to Indianapolis to meet with the Colts. Colts in need of some running back depth with Jonathan Taylor on the PUP and Zach Moss nursing a broken arm. They got some reinforcements last Friday with Kenyon Drake signing, but seeing if they can add some more to that room with the Hunt visit. Falcons' fourth-round rookie cornerback Clark Phillips III was carted off the field during yesterday's joint practice with the Miami Dolphins with an apparent leg injury, but Arthur Smith said he's okay. It was just precautionary. That is now the second secondary injury the Falcons have dodged in training camp. So the first being Jeff Okudah, who they traded for from the Lions. And last night in Nashville SC stayed alive in League Cup play, but only after a wild ending saw Club America fans rush onto the field in celebration at Geodis Park, and other people in attendance pepper the field with trash and debris. Nashville SC appeared to be eliminated in the competition between clubs of Major League Soccer and Mexico's Liga MX, but instead advanced to the quarterfinals of the knockout round on penalty kicks. They got that 6-5 after Jack Mayer was allowed to retake a penalty that had been saved. Nashville SC will host Minnesota on Friday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Wednesday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, as we talk Titans with you. 615-737-1045. A big day for the defense on Tuesday at Titans training camp. Much more on that as we continue here in the second 60 minutes of the show that gets better as the game continues. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass, I'm Will Bowling. Bryan Rice of Sports Radio WNML in Knoxville at 8:20. Rhett Bryan of Titans Radio joins us at 9 a.m. this morning. 1 hour down, 3 to go. Flying by today. Mm-hmm. It's a fast first 60 minutes.
That was, man.
Yeah. We talked to I feel like we got a lot in, too.
We did.
Breaking down the preseason game already. We got everything in.
We did get
Talk
a lot
about
in.
some soccer.
You know, I think we did a good enough job. We can all just go home. We can
Perfect.
just wrap it up.
Hit the music. All right,
Yep.
Perfect. Here we go.
There we go.
Back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. when you can find us. The
There it
Classic
is.
Show is not next.
I did want to say congrats to the Little League team out of Nolensville. They waited out the rain delay yesterday, and they defeated Florida 4-1 to advance to their third straight Little League World Series
in Williamsport, right?
in Williamsport.
I watched
Love
it.
it.
I watched the finish of it last night. Too. The little kid was pitching, was dealing last night though. Too, he had a little cockiness about him. I like that, man.
And he's just like that. Like he interviews. Like
Yeah.
they'll put him out there to talk with you, and he sounds like he's been in the game for a long time.
I'll tell you this though. I had a dad joke moment ready. As soon as it happened, I'm sitting on the couch, He's about to go to bed at that time, right? I was like, look at Nolensville, just like us, beating Bama and Florida in the same year.
There it is.
Could be my
That's
team.
actually
Could be my team.
good. That's pretty good.
I was like, and it was funny. I said it out loud, and I went, ha! Keisha looked at me like, what's wrong with you?
I love
Well, they're
it.
dressed like Vandy, so that's your brain just be an equal opportunity for all parts of Nashville.
Hey, you know what? When it's the kids, we can support the kids. So Nolensville representing
Right.
the state now. I'm beating Bama and Florida. Those Florida coaches look like they took it harder than the kids did.
They probably did.
Will.
Well, they don't have NIL money down there to help those kids in Florida. They don't do that down there.
It's fake NIL money.
He's such a troll. I love it. Even with the kids, Will was like, nah, screw it.
Forget them kids.
Their coaches did look a little just off. Like, I can't believe we lost to them. It's kind of how it
They
sounds.
sound like an 80s Bond villain. Like, what's going on? I can't believe I've lost you again, Tennessee.
Oh, those dang kids from Tennessee.
And I would have gotten away with it, too, if it wasn't for you and your meddling kids.
That's pretty cool. I hope they go all the way.
I do too. Congratulations.
It's my favorite Paul Opeth on the Buck Rising show.
Dude, they have that Beavis and Butthead one, and Lucas and Buck didn't even know what that was.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, and it was so good. And so I think they haven't played it as much because they didn't know who it was.
Take away the Italian one that says Lucas is a good boy if he doesn't know what that is.
I was in the studio with Red Bryan when that was being recorded, and I promise you that was the most laugh-induced 20 minutes I have had in a studio in a long time.
It's so good.
Oh my gosh, man! But yeah, congratulations, Kayla, as you said, man, to Nolansville, who's representing the state now.
Awesome
That's
stuff.
cool.
What the winners for?
Maybe you should do the new poll opening.
man.
Yeah, right. We're going to recut it. We will.
See, you guys know with me, I have like 2 impressions that I'm good at.
The one in the
The
seat
rest
right
of them
now.
I hope I'm good at. And then I'm not really.
I know one, Charles
What's that?
Davis. We
Okay.
gotta send that clip
Oh,
to him
that's
too.
right.
He
Hey,
said,
That's
tell
right.
you what, hey, Titans football's back this weekend. Okay, the Tennessee Titans headed to the Windy City. Hey, these Chicago Bears aren't going to lay down. Okay, Matt Eberflus has these guys ready. You got Justin Fields going into year 2 or year 3. The new head coach, it's year 2. You know, he's so new, I can't even figure out what year it was. Thanks so much, Will Foster. Appreciate that intro. Anything for a fellow Vol, okay?
We'll hear him on Saturday.
I'm gonna send this to
It's
my
out of
bird.
love. I
Cut
love
that
Charles
and
Davis,
send
man.
it to me.
Please make sure to include the fact that Charles Davis is like the best there is at what he does and is like the
he's
nicest
nice.
guy.
Has no reason to be as nice as he is.
The nicest dude in the business. Absolutely.
And he's got a new guy in the booth with him
He
this
does.
year.
Guy with him in the booth this year. Super real cool dude. As he was when I met him. I think it might have been my first or second time meeting him in person. Ramon, hey. How's it going? Here's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
It was good. He's just him, man. One of those people you'd be like, you can't be this nice. And
Paul
you know what?
Burmeister, the new
Paul
one.
Burmeister, yeah.
Iowa man,
That'll
right?
be
Iowa man, if I'm not mistaken. I think
Yeah.
that's where he played at. Yep.
Well, I know him as one of the studio hosts for the
Burmeister.
Premier League on NBC.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
yes.
He's, like,
Because he's an
outstanding.
NBC guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Does cycling as well and
Yep.
Olympics for NBC. He does an outstanding job.
Oh, that'll be fun to hear.
Yeah.
It will be fun to
Be
hear.
awesome. Right now, though, we get to the Ian Rappaport audio on what he had to say about DeAndre Hopkins yesterday. NFL Network live from Titans training camp yesterday. And I thought this was interesting for all the people who discussed the DeAndre Hopkins signing and kind of show their lack of ball knowledge a little bit. This was Ian Rappaport on why DeAndre Hopkins is a Titan.
Well, this is fascinating to me for a couple reasons, but for DeAndre Hopkins, this was a long, winding road. There was the trade talks during the season. There was the trade talks after the season. There was, I think, the assumption from a lot of people that right before the draft that he was going to be traded from the Arizona Cardinals somewhere. Now, there was a couple teams interested. We've talked about in the Buffalo Bills, plenty of others. In the end, that did not happen. They ended up releasing him, and then all he wanted was for a place where he could go win. And the fact that he chose Tennessee, and it was essentially New England or Tennessee, the 2 places that at least he visited, the fact that he chose Tennessee and they were willing to pay him a salary that was, I think, more than commensurate with his abilities where he is telling to me because he thinks the Titans are going to be good. And, they drafted a quarterback in Will Levis, obviously. I think some people view this as sort of a team in transition. He views this as a team that can win, and that stands out to me.
There's Ian Rappaport yesterday from Titans training camp on DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, it's like that's no news to us, right? I mean,
Right.
for people who kind of have seen what's been going on down here behind the scenes, it's always funny, like, to hear the national perspective. And I like Ian Rappaport. I think he does a great job. But it is always funny because it's like we all had been saying if it's going to be between New England and the Titans, you'd feel like the Titans would give them the better chance to win this season, him the better chance to win the season and be a part of a team that has a chance to win the division, just specifically because you look at the division with the New England Patriots, you look at the Titans division, and this is the better opportunity here
Yes.
with the people that surround you too, the defense, the head coach, the GM, everything that goes along with it.
Even if you look at the AFC West, you still got to go through a gauntlet to make it out of there. I think most people expect Kansas City, but even Denver situation be a little bit sticky this year too. But with that being said, you're right. This was a business decision for him, both financially and for his career. DeAndre can come here, man, and the best point of it all, man, I forget who said it, whether it was you, Kayla, Will, or Bird, or whoever I was listening to. Now you're not forced to put players in positions they're not supposed to be playing in. Meaning, D-Hop can come in and everybody plays their role, know their role. It made the job easier for just almost everybody. For Traylon, you know what I'm saying? Kyle Phillips, it just did because you know what you're getting yourself into. And I'm sure DeAndre's smart enough to know that too. Like, look, I got a guy that I can pair up with that's going to be really good. And this type of team too always is counted out, underdog. Nobody really takes it serious when it comes down to what you're getting yourself into when it comes to the defense. I mean, when it comes to the offense. The defense, everybody understands. The Titans are going to bring it. Offensively, this could be a new era for them, and we're talking more now about keeping, think about this, 6 or 7 wide receivers. Whether that's the number at the end of the day, the fact that we're even having that conversation is because D-Hop is here. It makes you feel better about the other guys. We saw Reggie Robertson. By the way, found out that's how you say his name now. Reggie Robertson.
Not Roberson.
It's not Roberson.
Yeah.
I would call Roberson because it's more Robertson. Him making plays. Why are we talking about him? Well, it's because now we have the luxury of actually spending time because you know your front end of the wide receiver room is good. D-Hop made a business decision and just a professional pathway that's going to make it more advantageous to him to be successful.
615-737-1045 is our number. Coming up next, a report from Titans training camp where one defensive newcomer was the star of the show yesterday, and the offense made some improvements. We'll hear what Mike Vrabel had to say about Azeez Al-Shire and his big day, plus Arden Key on stacking days and the energy at camp. Much more still to come here in hour 2 as we recap Titans Tuesday practice right here on Ramon, Kale, and Will. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. The only thing that's predictable about the weather is that it's unpredictable. If you've lived here for more than 5 minutes in Middle Tennessee, you certainly know that that is true here in Nashville. So make sure your home is ready for the next storm or heat wave with the Lee Company Home Maintenance Plan. Sign up today, and for $12 a month, their expert technicians will come out 4 times a year to take care of your air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and electrical systems. That's right. AC, heating, plumbing, and electrical by one professional team. This is a great offer from Lee Company. Just another one in their many great offers for you. And you can learn more at leecompany.com or just give them a call at 615-567-1000 to find out more info. That's leecompany.com online. The phone number again, 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company. All you need. Hour 2 continues on your Wednesday morning edition of RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045. If you want to talk Titans with us this morning, you can take it anywhere on the Titans front. Answer any questions you have from yesterday's practice where, Kayla, it sounds like there was one big star that was pretty much everywhere. Wherever you looked, you were seeing Azeez Al-Shaair make some pretty big plays.
Man, and I was a little nervous because I had told you guys I saw him go in at practice the day before. And then the first thing I looked for on Tuesday was if Azeez was out there. And he, of course, is one of the leader rows in the front row doing stretches. And then he goes out there and just balls out. I mean, this guy was all over the field yesterday. And really, he's been like that since he arrived here. I think he had a kind of a tip, or Byard had a tip
Byard tipped
on
it to
Tannehill's
Al-Shaair.
pass.
Yep.
Yeah, tipped that to him. And then Elijah Molden, did he provide the tip to?
To us, was it to Amani?
Was it that to Amani? Yeah, I'm trying to keep my notes here.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah.
to Amani.
Yeah.
Intended for Chigakonkwo. Elijah Molden tips it in the air, and then Amani Hooker gets the
Yeah.
tip.
So they were all, the secondary was all over down there, but with the help of Azeez Al-Shaair, obviously, who continues, I think, to just be a motor and a really good resource for a lot of the guys on that defense, not just for the linebacker room, but a lot of guys just picking his brain from what he learned with the Niners organization and the defense that they kind of had over there.
Yeah.
So this is a good get. At least it's looking to be.
It is. You hear him, you see him, he's making plays. It just looked like it's his game when it comes down to Azeez Al-Shaair. Just simply because the opportunity and the fresh start. Sometimes, like, moving on kind of helps you be better in certain situations. And that's what it is for a guy like him, man, is he's at a point where it's my show now. I don't have the cloud of chasing somebody, Fred Warner. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, this is my show. There's nobody bigger than me right now at this starting position. And I love that about him. He's taking it on. Being a new guy usually sucks. Y'all know how it is walking into either a new building or to like a new team is, hey, where do I fit? And he's walked in loud, productive, leader, and you got to appreciate that because it's heavy for a guy like Jeff to carry that. You know,
Yeah.
I think Azeez can make more plays than Jeff, although Jeff's impact is just as big as anybody else's.
It trickles down from the front, yeah.
It's good to have somebody else like that. And I always bring up Woodyard because I'm more familiar with him, but I know, like, he didn't make a Pro Bowl, but his leadership, his style, what he brought to the game, you appreciate it, and his teammates do too. The ones that are still here still talk about him. That's what you want out of Azeez, right?
You know what I like about this defense this year? Because they do talk about the energy, which I know we'll get to in a minute, but there's different types of leaders. There's a Jeffrey Simmons who, just got paid. He's been here. He knows what it's all about.
Yeah.
You've got Arden Key, who brings just the life every single play. He brings some sort of like life to that defense. Then you got Azeez, very smart. Gonna kind of help the young guys around him. Then you have Kevin Byard on the back end, who is just savvy as they get and knows the game so well, and that is going to be just a continued just a continued force for that secondary to help mold these younger players.
The other thing, too, you brought up the Elijah Molden tip. Coverage was good.
Yeah.
Chig route was also good, too. It's good on good. But the tip that Amani Hooker ended up getting, all I could think to myself, and I was standing next to somebody, I was like, look at this play right here. I said, this play is awesome for this defense. I was like, but look who threw it, and this is what sucks about it. Tannehill threw it. And I was like, that's an interception, right? I was like, but is it really a pass-thrown interception from Tannehill?
Yep.
Like, that's a deflected interception. And that sucks because the stigma that kind of follows Tannehill right now, right?
Yep.
All I can say is just like, dude can't win for nothing right now. But it was a great play to be made by the defense.
Ryan Tannehill finished the day 13 of 17 with the 2 interceptions in the 7-on-7 and team periods combined. For all of camp, Jim Wyatt writes on TennesseeTitans.com that he is 82 of 129 with 3 interceptions in 7-on-7 and team periods combined in the 9 open practices of camp.
Yeah.
That's certainly not bad. And I think fans will read, Ryan Tannehill had 2 interceptions. He's got the training camp interception problem again. But it feels like from what you all are telling me that these weren't the kind of interceptions you really get overly concerned about.
I'm talking about Elijah went across Chig to get that ball to tip it up. And mind you this too, Kayla, did you see the angle of where Amani caught it from?
Yes.
Amani grabbed that ball, Will, with probably about 4 inches off the ground.
That was a great play.
It was a great play.
And Mike Vrabel made it clear, guys. Like, I think it's been said that the defense looks obviously a little better this time of year.
Yeah.
And they have had some added juice in practices, but it doesn't say that the offense is just struggling so much. And Mike Vrabel made that clear yesterday too.
Any other time, 1 second, half a second split, that ball hits the ground is just an incompletion. True. And the drill continues on for the offense. Defense won that drill, and they ran off the field.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they ran off quick, didn't they, Kayla?
Yep.
615-737-1045. We'll get to some of your calls coming up in a moment. But first, wanted to play you the audio of what Mike Vrabel had to say about Azeez Al-Shire specifically and the praise he's already giving his new inside linebacker.
I think just, his intensity and his leadership has been really good. Again, I've always enjoyed the conversations with him off the field. So, sitting down, having lunch, having breakfast, getting to know him personally. So I've enjoyed coaching him. And again, he's playing with some speed out there. And not that it was perfect every snap, but I think he's understanding what we're trying to get done. And I like communication that he's playing with.
Honestly, if I was picking one newcomer that I think perfectly fit what Mike Vrabel wants in a free agent signing or just in a newcomer period, I think Azeez Al-Shire would be the guy I would start with.
You're not
Either
wrong.
him or Arden Key.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like this is the blueprint.
Yeah.
It is. And I think when we speak about Vrabel guys, we had that conversation. Like, this is what you want the end product to be. You got to have a few strikeouts to kind of, get to a guy like him. Hopefully he sticks. I think we expected that out of Cunningham last year or two, right? We expected him to come through and be that guy like this because you expected the energy, the style. He understand what the AFC South is about, and he didn't. Looking at what Azeez has in front of him, man, with this opportunity, like he can end his career as a Titan because of the things he's done so far, Kayla.
Yeah.
And that middle linebacker position has kind of been devalued somewhat in this league, because everybody used the DBs since it's such a passing league so far. But you need guys like this. Look at the good teams across the NFL. They usually have a very solid inside linebacking core.
Look, no offense to David Long Jr. I like David Long Jr. when he was healthy. He was obviously somebody who did a lot on the field. But this is, for me right now, what I'm seeing an upgrade, especially if he can stay healthy. And let's give Rand Carthon a lot of credit, too, because this is a guy that was on his radar specifically. And when he sat down with Mike Vrabel, this is where we use the word collaboration so much, and we kind of laughed about it, right? But it's true.
It's true.
This is the difference, I think, when you have two guys that work together, share ideas, have the right scouting, kind of breakdowns that are happening, and say, this guy could fit, A, he could take his game to the next level, B, and then he brings all the culture with it too.
Yeah.
I think it's a great marriage of those two, and I think there will be better things even to come in the future. But right now, it looks like the pieces they added in free agency are fitting right in and producing, and that includes Azeez Al-Shire.
And that's the thing, too. I guess we can all just say simmer down just a little bit.
Sure, we can. Yeah,
Absolutely.
everybody's always going to tell us that.
Yeah, no
but for
doubt.
right now, this is what we're seeing at least.
Facts.
VAB in the FNM Bank chat writes, yeah, but let's be real. If Malik threw that pass behind Chig, y'all would be saying it was a late throw. Tanny just threw a bad pass. It happens. It's camp. Hopefully it won't happen in the game.
I laugh at that.
Really?
I laugh at that. Just because, nobody's against Malik. Malik's issue is this, though. Malik has to prove to us that he can throw the ball on time. It's one thing to say, hey, Tannehill had a late throw, which it wasn't a late throw. It was a damn good play made by Elijah Molden. Like, that's the thing about it. To say Malik is going to get criticized because of a late pass, well, guess what? He's also had a history of getting the ball out late. One pat too much. And that's okay to call it. That's the thing about sports, y'all. Like, either you are or you're not when it comes down to it. There is no in-between when it comes to it. Like, to say that ball was tipped on the ground, it's still an interception on the stat line for Tannehill. Jimmy Riot.
Jimmy's going to riot that you messed up his name.
I messed up his name. Jimmy Wyatt wrote in his notes still, his observation, it was an interception. He had 2 on the day. Mm-hmm. But I'm giving you the scenario of what actually happened. Tannehill threw a good ball. Elijah Molden made a better play.
Yeah, we saw it.
He made a better play. That's okay to say that. Tannehill has shown that he has the ability to make plays, is what we're saying. Malik has to get to the point where we trust his playmaking ability. Mm-hmm. If a player ain't where you need him to be, we need to call it what it is, fan or no fan. I like Malik. I want Malik to be good. I've said Malik makes this 53-man roster. I think the perception sometimes is people want Malik out. That's not the case. We want Malik to get better and make those routine plays that other quarterbacks have made. We understand coming from Liberty has been a big issue to him. I continue to say Hugh Freeze is the biggest detriment to his career. Lining up in practice and telling him, hey, throw right there. Mm-hmm. Malik is still getting through that, so that ought to tell you his timing is still catching up. Watch some of the clips that you see on social media. It will show you those types of things. He had a pass yesterday to Reggie Roberson. Just found out it's Roberson, okay? Reggie Roberson. I'm flip-flopping.
Wait, so it was Roberson.
It is Roberson. The pass that he had to Reggie Roberson, Kayla, yesterday.
Right.
If he aired that thing out a little bit more, Reggie goes to the end zone, does he not?
Yep.
So that's what we're saying. The touch, the feel, the aesthetics of playing quarterback in the NFL. That's the only thing that we mention when it comes down to Malik. Once he do those things, yes, all right. Then you get the grace to say, oh, it's a little bit later right there.
I think it's also important to note context at practice, too, where certain situations might call for the offense to have to be a little more aggressive, or like in days where you see, oh, Will Levis had 4 touchdowns today. Well, that might have been because they were doing red zone work, and any throw that was completed would be a touchdown. You see a lot of that around the league where it's like, oh, this guy threw 4 interceptions today. Well, that might have been the practice script where the defense is at an advantage that day.
Right.
So context is always important with these drills and where guys come away from. So I wouldn't let these Tannehill interceptions weigh so heavily on your mind, because the practice script might not have been in his favor, and he might be trying something new out.
And that's why they have preseason games, y'all, because we're going to be able to see – I'm talking about Malik, and Levis specifically in this, but we're going to be able to see them against other competition, not the guys they're going up against, not the situations they're being put in by this team, but
real
other team
flow.
game planning for them. Yeah.
I think, too, we have to view different players' progressions at different speeds.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Tannehill has 2 4,000-yard seasons on his resume. He took the Titans to an AFC championship game. The mistakes he's making in practice will be viewed differently because, A, there's a different set of expectations for him, and B, he's given us the proof of concept over a lot of his career, not all of it, but over a lot of his career, that the interceptions aren't a massive issue for him. They have been in the past. They were in 2021. Obviously, they were against the Bengals, but Malik Willis has to prove that he has a feel for the game. I think, Ramon, what you said is 100% right, that he has to prove every day that he can get the ball out on time. So, yeah, if his throw is late, that's going to be a little bit more of a concern than if Ryan Tannehill's late in the throw and there's a tip drill interception that's not caught cleanly until it's like inches above the ground.
It's reported different right there. And for instance here, Malik's 50% completion rate, okay?
Yeah, 31 of 61 last year.
276 yards, 3 interceptions. And is this correct? He's got 10 sacks under his belt?
That's correct.
Well, last year.
I know, but I just didn't realize it was that many.
Yep.
I would have thought he like 3 or 4. I
Right.
didn't realize he's sacked 10 times already.
Probably 6 or 7 of them were from the backup left tackle.
Yep. That's the perspective you got to put things in last year, remember?
It's easy to forget the amount of sacks Malik Willis took because he would scramble for 10 to 15 seconds before he got tackled also.
Yeah.
So some of those, honestly, may look more like negative runs because he would decide so quickly to scramble and then almost make it back to the line of scrimmage but get sacked 1 yard behind the line, which I think would, according to the letter of the law, count as a sack.
Yeah.
But he has been more present in the pocket, delivering the ball. Again, timing is always going to be a thing. Touch is always going to be a thing of him. He had the same. He loves Reggie Roberson, by the way, too. He had a crossing route last week. Remember when they were on like the 1 yard line? Who was it to again? Reggie Roberson.
Yep.
So their timing, his passing, too much air under the ball, not enough air under the ball. Those are finite things that we hope to see develop throughout the games this upcoming weekend. We're going to get the real thing soon.
615-737-1045 is our number. We begin with Henry in Lebanon this morning, leading us off on the phone lines. What's up, Henry?
What's up, Henry?
Good morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. How y'all doing on this beautiful hump day?
We're good, Henry.
Hey, I've been here with you all through the off season, and there's been a theme across all 4 shows, and I have a 2-part question. How much better has D-Hop actually made the offense? We know the type of coach Mike Vrabel is, the next man up, and that being said, would that click with any other 30 teams? Would he be able to provide what he's provided?
Sure.
Yeah.
Appreciate the call, Henry.
Henry, I would say this, watching D-Hop here the last couple of weeks, from day one, it was apparent that he is very special, that he is a different type of talent, even at the age he's at right now in the latter part of his career. Ryan Tannehill is a guy who has admitted several times that he usually has to build a lot of trust with new guys that are added to this offense, rookies that have, he's played with. And with D-Hop, it just seemed really different. It seemed like since day one, Tannehill was just able to find him, but also D-Hop was making those plays.
Yeah.
And plays he makes it look easy, but we all know that not every wide receiver could do that, just the range he has. And I would say he probably would fit in a lot of other places as well. But for some reason, this is where he ended up because he thought he could win here. And he's going to do, I think, everything he can to try to add to this team, whether that be, I know the practice things have been a thing in the past. He's been out at every practice. He wasn't there yesterday, but we all know that Mike Vrabel said at the beginning of the training camp he might miss a couple days. He is truly a special talent, and for me, I'm just seeing this for the first time in person. Other people may have watched him play in person, but he's definitely going to be a big addition.
Yeah, he is. Definitely.
615-737-1045. More of your calls coming up as we talk Titans training camp here in hour number 2. And hear from Arden Key as well as he talks about stacking days the way the defense has over the past few weeks out at St. Thomas Sports Park. As we continue next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
I'm joined now by certified arborist Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art, Tree, and Shrub. You guys hear it all the time, and with the experience they have, this is no surprise, offering full service on tree and shrubs. And right now, Dean, you guys are hiring such a great company, searching for some good quality people to add to that company. From you've got office help to climbing arborists. Tell us more about how people can check out how they can be a part of your great team.
Hey, good morning. What a great Wednesday morning it is. Beautiful outside. Hope everybody enjoys that. In the meantime, that's what we do just about every day when the sun's shining is we enjoy our days because we're outside. And if you are interested in working with a great tree care company, 615-299-2600 9999 is the easy phone number to remember that. So we're looking for talent right now. We are paying top notch, and we have great benefit program. We just started a new HR program. We're super excited about the future. So if you want to get excited about your future, give us a call, 615-299-9999. You can also go online at arborart.net and get all of that as well. So don't forget, 29 years we've been in business. Super proud of that. And if you need trees and shrubs worked on or plant health care diagnosis, we can do it for you. So, again, 299-9999. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dean. And that is Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for exceptional service every single time. Make sure you call 299-9999. Or you can check them out online at arborart.net.
Wednesday morning continues at RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We'll talk some Vols in hour 3 coming up. Brian Rice, our good friend from the Sports Animal in Knoxville, will join us at 8:20. 615-737-1045 is our number. We'll also hear from Inky coming up in a minute on what he had to say off the practice field yesterday. But we go back to the phones where Dirty Bird is in Murfreesboro. Dirty Bird. Up next. Good morning.
Thanks for taking my call. I love the show.
Thanks.
I just wanted to make a comment and I'd ask a question. The comment is, guys, don't worry about Tannehill. He's going to be fine. The guys on y'all's defense, they know his timing. They know, everything about him. So in reality, you guys are being really balanced. If your defense is intercepting him, that's a good thing. I mean, that means your defense is doing its job. So 2 interceptions aren't nothing. Look at Lamar Jackson right now. Mr. MVP that wanted all this money, 9 interceptions already. Regardless if it's 3rd and long, he shouldn't be throwing those. That's kind of with all this stuff on the off season. But my question is, what do you guys think about Desmond Ridder in this second year? And do you think that he has enough to step up and be a starting quarterback for the Falcons, or do you think that he's just going to kind of bunk out?
Yeah, thanks, Dirty Bird.
He ain't no MVP.
Oh, jeez.
What you say, Bert? That's my quarterback. He's talking about Lamar.
Come at my boy like that.
Anyway, Desmond Ridder question, I think, and the comment about Tannehill's legit. I mean, there's no reason to concern about 2 tip drill interceptions in 1 practice. You don't make those things a habit, obviously, but on its own, not a big deal. What do you guys think Desmond Ridder does this season in Atlanta?
This is where I'm at when it comes to these young quarterbacks who aren't first rounders or either just rookies in general. It really ain't even about them. I feel like these days coaches are putting lipsticks on a pig when it comes down to young guys in this league, specifically second round and later quarterbacks that have to go into starter positions right now. It ain't much you can do because it ain't much they know. Young quarterbacks in this league really got to, understand it's more than just throwing and running with your legs a little bit more. Can you break down defenses? Can you do all the intangible stuff that we see Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, all these guys, not just saying you got to be him. Heck, Kirk Cousins, think about how much that quarterback documentary has enlightened us to what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. Those things that Kirk Cousins is doing with the brain games and stuff like that, Desmond Ridder don't understand that. You want that young guy, and I'll even go to Pittsburgh. Those young guys, Kenny Pickett, be guys that can manage a game. And we're talking about a QB quarterback that's a game manager. Duh, because you don't know anything. If you don't have that generational guy, you want a guy that can at least win your game. Desmond Ridder's situation is this to me. He fell in the same spot it seemed like Malik did and Will Levis and a bunch of these young dudes in the league. Go prove that you can do this. If you're a fan of Desmond Ridder in Atlanta, trust Arthur Smith than you do Desmond Ridder at this point right now, because it's on Arthur Smith more to make him successful than you expect Desmond Ridder to come out and be a game slinger. A gunslinger like that.
I'm with you real quick on that because he was a 3rd-round pick, as was Malik Willis, in that draft where the quarterbacks weren't great that year. So I think this is a weird situation. You had Mariota that just didn't work out there. They had really no choice but to put Ridder in. I think they're going to give him a chance. And with Arthur Smith, I think he's a good coach. Yeah. He could possibly be able to do something with the weapons that they've inherited over there and drafted, but I wouldn't put all my bet on him being the starter for the future. I think it's a what have you done for me right now league. So
it is, Kayla.
Let's go back to the practice field yesterday where Arden Key spoke with Kayla and the scrum of reporters that joined the conversation yesterday, talking about the days the defense has stacked and his continued energy out of practice.
Thing out here defensively, a couple interceptions today. How do you keep that going in long camp days? Just the energy with this defense.
It's just every day. I guess it's somebody every day. Whether it's me, Jill, Kev, everybody saying something before we go out there. That's why we huddle up each and every time we go out there for team, because it's something they saying that sparks the defense, and we go out there and do what we do.
With this preseason game coming up, obviously a lot of these young guys getting a chance to play. Anything you say to these guys to kind of calm their nerves a bit?
Just play. At the end of the day, it's football. A lot of stuff going on within stuff you can't you can't really control, but you can control what you do on the football field. So as long as you know your playbook, know the plays, just go out there and play ball.
What do you guys feel like you've done in terms of steps forward just, this week and how you guys are progressing all together?
Gelling together, just as far as the front, just stopping the run, then get to the quarterback. We feel like we don't need to blitz anything. We get to the quarterback with our 4-man front and let the back end take care of itself. Back end coming along, we're getting picks now, so everything is coming along. We're getting past the PBUs and getting more picks.
Danico's got his hand on a couple balls the last couple of days. He's I know this sounds weird, he's kind of a quiet guy, but not when he's out there playing. He does it with his play style.
Nico is not quiet. He's just, I don't know. T.I. he is, but he's not quiet. He's a talkative guy. He's been in the league for a long time, so he gives a lot of knowledge. And then I like him because I studied him before I got here, and now I'm here with him. I get to study him all day.
That's interesting.
That's awesome.
Definitely.
That's awesome.
Art and Key, I feel like bringing a little bit of things I haven't heard before in that interview. And Christian Fulton, when Fulton spoke yesterday, said the thing he's loved the most about the defense, what stood about the most, is that defensive front.
Yep.
He just said it's just another level.
615-737-1045. The number coming up. Traylon Burks gives his advice to the rookies on what to expect and what not to do in their first preseason game. A reset of the headlines. And again, maybe a word on one of the craziest atmospheres I've ever seen in a sporting event last night right here in Nashville. Coming up on RKW.
What's going on? 7:59 from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Free agent running back Kareem Hunt and linebacker Anthony Barr left the Saints without a contract yesterday, and now Hunt is on his way to Indianapolis to meet with the Colts today. Colts in need of some running back depth with Jonathan Taylor on PUP and Zach Moss nursing a broken arm. The Colts did sign Kenyon Drake last Friday, but looking for a little more reinforcement in the backfield. Falcons' fourth-round rookie cornerback Clark Phillips III was carted off the field yesterday during joint practice with the Miami Dolphins with an apparent leg injury, but Arthur Smith said after the practice that late in the day he will be okay, and the move was precautionary. The Falcons have now dodged two secondary injuries, the first being Jeff Okudah, who they traded for from the Lions. And last night, Nashville SC stayed alive in League Cup play on Tuesday, but only after a wild ending saw Club America fans rush the field in celebration at Geodis Park. Nashville SC appeared to have been eliminated in competition, but appeared in the club's Major League Soccer and Mexico's Liga MX, but instead advanced to the quarterfinals of the knockout round on penalty kicks after Jack Mayer was allowed to retake a penalty that had been saved. Nashville SC will host Minnesota on Friday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 3 in the second half of the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, with our full crew ready to go for 2 more hours this morning, and then for 8 more the rest of the week. Sounds like a lot when you put it that way, to be honest with you. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh behind the glass. I'm Will Bowling. Bryan Rice joining us in 20 minutes. We'll get a fall camp report out of Knoxville, Tennessee, where the Volunteers were back on the practice field yesterday at Haslam Field. They're on Lake Loudon Boulevard on beautiful Rocky Top, Tennessee. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to hearing from you at 615-737-1045. That's where you can jump in on the discussion as the show continues. And, guys, I got to pay off a You're Not That Guy from yesterday. So obviously I had the Orioles as mine for suspending Kevin Brown, their broadcaster, for saying stats about how many games the Orioles had lost in a row to the Rays. Well, he will be back this weekend, reportedly on Friday.
Okay.
Getting back in the broadcast booth. I thought this tweet was hilarious from a Seattle Mariners pre- and post-game host, Mike Lefko, who retweets the Baltimore Orioles' final score yesterday, which simply says, final, Astros 7, Orioles 6. And he retweeted it and said, the person who tweeted this has been suspended.
Oh.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Thank you, Robert Walsh.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
That's solid. So he wasn't wrong in his analysis at
No.
all, and they
No, he
still
wasn't.
lost.
It's just factual stuff.
Yeah, that's the biggest joke I've ever heard.
It
Just,
really is.
Just come on.
And the crazy thing is, they threw a graphic up, and like those graphics are made well before ahead of time.
And not by the play-by-play guy either.
Correct. It's all the people in the booth. So this is something that they prepared, and they probably slid a sheet of paper in. It's like, hey, in this break, we're going to go to this graphic, just read the results of the previous games.
Yep.
Like, none of this should be equated to being his fault.
And Kayla, you know this too, in the way pregame often goes. Most, I'm not going to say most, a lot of broadcasts pre-record the open.
You're right.
That way you can watch the first couple minutes. You can still take your time. And that way, too, if the national anthem is being played during the time where your television window is opening and you're doing the open of your broadcast, well, then you're not talking over the national anthem, which obviously is not something that you want to do. So I'm not insinuating that this was the case for this. But that being said, you'll get to the booth and the truck will tell you, hey, your call time is usually about 90 minutes before to have your headsets on. And then in that time, they'll be like, hey, all right, let me walk you through what we've got for pregame. And they'll show you on your monitor, your ISO monitor, every single graphic that they're going to show you and every camera shot. even if players aren't warming up yet, they'll have that camera operator and they'll talk you through it and be like, all right, so we're going to open crowd shot here. We're going to count you in right there. Then after we count you in, we're going to show this graphic here. So just take a look at this. Let me know if you need more time to talk about it. Then we're going to go to this shot, and they'll show literally the cameras of, we're going to show this player warming up. Here's the graphic. Like, all that stuff being said is that producers and the people in the truck are the ones that make that decision.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like you said, they do pre-record a lot of those intros, and they practice it a couple times sometimes.
Exactly.
So this is all stuff that I don't think was a big surprise to anybody.
You think he at least got paid leave for that, or he was just straight up? It said suspended indefinitely. I don't think he did.
He was moved to radio after that game for the rest of that weekend, which is
that is
a quote unquote demotion in the baseball world.
I would have told them, you know what? I'm gonna serve my suspension on the beach somewhere. If y'all are gonna suspend me, I'm definitely not working. I will talk to y'all later.
That's tough, man.
Crazy.
You got let go or put on leave for doing your job. That sucks.
Stating facts.
I don't want to call him whoever that was thin skin, but that's kind of thin skin.
Oh, it's
right
thin
there.
skin.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. 615-737-1045 if you want to jump in. Last night at Geodis Park, Nashville SC advances with a win over Club America, 6-5 in penalty kicks. Sam Surridge scores in the 9th minute of stoppage time to send it to PKs. And then you had a game that ended. Everyone came off the field. Then everyone came back on the field after a review said, nope, illegal save, essentially is what happened. And the Nashville SC won. So if you were at Geodis Park last night, I'm very glad that when I hyped this game up yesterday on the show as much as I did, that it paid off. Because oftentimes so many of these games that we hype up is like, Chiefs Bengals, this game's going to be awesome. And then like half the time games like that ended up being like final score 23-20.
Right.
17-16. And this one absolutely lived up to the hype. And I'm still feel like it was just an out-of-body experience last night. So that's where I'm at this morning.
And you were there later than what you expected, too. By the way, you said a bunch of PKs, like it's penalty kicks.
Penalty kicks.
Come on, Will. Get us right for us learners, man. They're still trying to learn this thing called
you
soccer.
already know, though, what it is.
I could use context clues. You know what I'm saying, Kayla? Like, I figured it out a little bit.
Oh,
but
yeah.
He said that, and also the breakdown of the penalty kick. You said that earlier, and I was just like, I didn't know you couldn't move your feet off the line.
You have to stay on the line. Yeah.
So they had a review.
They had a review. They brought everyone back on the field after we were in commercial break. TV was in commercial break. Like everyone was, it was literally like the Tennessee LSU game under Derek Dooley, but soccer. The game was declared over and then.
Crazy.
Never mind.
Yeah.
And that was like on a long list of crazy things that happened after about 30 people invaded the pitch.
So Nashville SC now moves on.
Correct.
In the, can you say the name of it
the Leagues
again?
Cup.
The Leagues Cup.
They will play Minnesota United on Friday at Geodis Park. Tickets go on sale in 2 hours, actually. Little plug there. 10 o'clock is when you can buy your tickets. A quarterfinal for the boys in gold. There are 8 teams left in Leagues Cup. 2 of them from Mexico, 6 of them from the United States.
One of them being Miami.
Yes, Lionel Messi is still there.
Okay, which I'm kind of rooting now for Lionel Messi and the boys to come here so DeAndre Hopkins can see his his favorite firsthand.
Forget DeAndre Hopkins. What about me?
Right?
I want to call a game with Messi.
You
Dang
too.
it.
You
Come
too.
on.
You too. You and D Hop can get yours.
What are we doing? He just got here. I've been here my whole life.
Will's like, no, this is about me.
Yeah.
I want to see Messi.
I'm going to be selfish.
Right? I'm rooting for that for
Kind of
all
kidding.
reasons.
That's awesome right there, man.
So you got LAFC in Monterrey, Philadelphia and Querétaro, and then Inter Miami and Charlotte. Maybe a Cinderella in the tournament. Querétaro, really the
Querétaro.
No, say it like you did before.
Querétaro.
Oh, that's nice.
That is the real
Sounded
Cinderella.
good right there.
Look at that.
No.
Querétaro.
Who is this dude?
I'm not even going to attempt it.
Me, the Bert.
I think Will and I both spoke Spanish at a high level at some point of our careers.
I took AP.
Yeah.
Passed the exam.
I took Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 in mini term.
Do you
in
remember
college.
any of it?
See?
You're the worst.
No bueno.
My goodness sakes.
That's what
I love speaking it.
I needed to pass them courses for sure, too, because I didn't want to take them again. I took 1 and 2 at the same time in mini-term. It was super intensive.
And you were out.
So I didn't retain a whole lot. I'm be honest with you.
It's
Because
tough to retain.
Mini-term is such a regurgitation period in summer school and college. And summer school and college ain't a bad thing like it is in college. It's just those hard courses, if y'all have ever taken them, you can get them done and get out.
Yep.
And I made a B+ and an A in both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. I was good at the moment.
Flex over
I
there.
The
just
brain
needed
on
to-
two-tone
Right?
moan.
I mean,
Yeah, I heard you guys talking about his new nickname.
I saw it. Yeah, the Savage said
Two-tone moan.
it's in review, Kayla. So we don't know
Oh,
if it's
okay.
it's in
Gotcha.
review.
So whenever you go on 3HL, I imagine is when he'll have his final verdict.
He'll have his
Right.
final
Judge
verdict.
Slay will preside.
Yeah, Judge Slay.
Do you take off on Friday for the preseason?
For this one, yeah, but it'll be after the show and everything on this one. So yeah,
Because I forget they leave the day before.
the day
Obviously.
before. I know.
Right.
I was talking to my wife. It was like we right back in the football mode out here.
You're going to have a lot of watching a cell phone nervously as the Vols play.
Right?
Yes, for real.
Yeah.
And the biggest detriment to it all is Ron hadn't signed off on it yet. It's like
Well,
course he has.
I don't know if Slay has a choice.
he
course
don't.
he
He
has.
went on a rant yesterday about it. Like it's just
I
like
love it.
I'm
He's
happy
so
for
sad.
him, but I'm not happy for
Yeah.
him.
He doesn't have his partner in crime with him on
I
Saturdays.
know, Caleb.
One thing that I know Ron Slay will sign off on is the Titans have put out a new website about their new stadium.
Yep.
TitansNewStadium.com, where you can go. They put this out at 7 o'clock this morning, so right at about an hour ago. And a little bit of an update on when the wait list begins to get tickets.
Mm-hmm.
August 15th. 6 days, 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 22, 21, 19 seconds. Okay, yeah, they have a counter on their website. So that's how long it is until you can get tickets in the new stadium.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
Be pretty cool.
They put out a video too that kind of gives some
Yep,
graphics and a look inside what the new stadium will look like.
that's right. So-
Neat.
Hey, a lot of stuff moving and going around this city, man. Again, I saw a first leaf fall off a tree the other day too.
Football's back.
I said
I was
that.
wondering where you're going with that.
I said that too, Kayla. No lie. I'm walking to my truck and a leaf falls off a tree. I was like, you know what? That might be do it.
Football's
that
back.
might be do it.
That's one of those
Football.
serendipitous moments where it's like you had to be there to see that. Like, not many people get to see a leaf falling from the tree. It's like a bird pooping. Like, it ends up all over your car, but
That ain't fun.
very rarely do you get to see one drop from the bird.
true.
Very honorable. Football's back.
Football's
Turds
back.
dropping.
One drop from the bird on me the other day. That's for
No.
sure. Oh yeah, guys! I was taking Rhett
Oh,
out,
that's not
and
great.
all of a sudden I look, and I'm like, "You've got," and it landed on my toes because I was wearing flip flops.
Oh, no.
It was so disgusting.
Trouble was afoot.
So gross.
Pretty crappy way to start your day.
Yes. End my day
You
at
know
that.
what? You could have said you crapping me and not those words, and you would have been 100% correct.
Exactly, and that's what I did say. What I did say.
That's not fun.
I hate to say I hadn't had that happen, but I hadn't, and I hope it don't happen.
Yo, you
Kayla.
don't.
On your feet. Ugh.
Just like when I used to watch video compilations of Sean McDonough's funniest voice cracks on broadcasts, and then mine cracks in the middle of a game last night.
Oh my God.
Karma is not a very nice
This
chick.
happens.
No, yeah, it happens. Well, proud of you, Will.
Coming up, Bryan Rice joins us, Sports Radio WNML's a guy that joins us throughout football season. Great to have him back on. It's been a minute. We will get to that Traylon Burks conversation about him telling rookies not to overthink it. Coming up Saturday in Chicago. We'll do that at 8:45 after we talk with Bryan. But a little word out of Knoxville where some new wide receivers are turning heads at Vols camp. Bryan Rice gives us the latest coming up next. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for Brentwood Hearing Center, who understands choosing a hearing care provider is a big decision. Brentwood Hearing Center's #1 priority is delivering exceptional patient care, and their staff combines many years of expertise in hearing healthcare, well-trained on a variety of services ranging from evaluations to treatment. So give them a call at 377-0420, or check them out online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Treating hearing loss is an ongoing process that requires regular follow-ups, maintenance, and cleanings to keep you hearing your best. Brentwood Hearing Center, they'll not only address the issues, but they'll keep those hearing aids running smoothly as well if you need them. Over 30 years, one home, proudly serving Brentwood from the same location for more than 30 years. Call Brentwood Hearing Center today at 615-377-0420 or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. It's RKW powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors right here on 104.5 The Zone. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. Robert Walsh, our producer, as we go to the phones. And our good friend Bryan Rice, Vol Network, joins us this morning here on the show. Bryan, I have to be careful that in this interview we don't say too many negative facts about Tennessee football or Tennessee in general. You know, they haven't won in Florida in a while, but broadcasters are being taken off air for pointing these things out recently.
You know, and that one hits close to home for me because Kevin Brown is the number 2 person on softball for ESPN, and I have worked with him on how close he wants to get everything right. Just a great broadcaster. And, Will, you know, if a graphic goes on the screen, that means that it was a whole production crew that decided to go with, you know, facts that were in the game notes rather than a rogue announcer talking about how much you used to suck. I think if you talk about how much better you are this year, that's a good thing, but I'm not a Major League Baseball owner more thin-skinned than Butch Jones.
That's hard to do, too. Bryan Rice
it really is.
This morning on Ramon, Kalen, Will. Bryan, what is the conversation like up there around this Tennessee team opening fall camp over the past week and a half? This offense, obviously, you know what you're getting in the passing game and the wide receivers. Feels like there's been a lot of talk about this offensive line and just Tennessee's willingness and openness to continuing to run the football successfully this season. What's kind of been the main conversation up there?
Yeah, you know, it's positivity is the word that comes to my mind more than anything else because you have a lot of things to be positive about. You're right, though. The offensive line is a concern. Look, you're replacing a guy who's going to be a day one starter for the Chicago Bears. I don't think that can be understated that you lost a guy off the offensive line who was so well thought of in a division that prides itself on running the football in the NFC North that they're probably going to start him on day one. That's a big loss. But I think you can cobble together. Look, I think Tennessee feels really good about their top maybe 6 linemen. After that, there are questions, which means you need to stay healthy, 1. And 2, you need to develop some guys who have been in your program for a long time. I think that can happen. I think you can, even if you don't feel great about some of those guys, 7, 8, 9, 10 in your offensive line rotation, you can mask some of the deficiencies with how well you've developed some of the other guys there. But ultimately, you do need to run the football because when you look back, Josh Heupel's offense is based on how well it can run the football. The passing game gets all the flash, it gets all the notoriety, but the reality is the run game dictates how well the passing game operates. And you look no further than the Alabama game last year. Gary Danielson's actually talking about how important it is for the run game to work during 2 of Jalen Hyatt's wide open touchdowns. So it's going to be important, and you've got a wealth of talent at the running back position. Everybody's back, and you added a couple of young guys who I think it's very difficult to keep off the field. So your running game, I think, is going to be a big part of what you do this year if the line can provide some holes. And then a flip of that is the offensive line has to provide time for those receivers to get open and get downfield for Joe Milton to hit them with the deep ball.
And, Bryan, it's interesting because we can talk so much about the wide receivers and the depth there and the bodies they've added, but the nature of the Tennessee offense is you're not going to play more than maybe 5 max in a game that's competitive, which brings the conversation to the offensive line and the depth and the kind of quote-unquote concerns you mentioned there. Biggest thing for me is Joe Milton's pocket presence ready to take that next step? At times that was an issue last season. What are you hearing about him and the progress he's made so far this offseason?
Well, you hear nothing but rave reviews in public and behind the scenes that he has been more deliberate with his footwork. He's been more deliberate with how he handles things in that 7 to 10, 7 to 15-yard passing game, and that's important. And I think the thing he has to learn, and reports are that he is doing that well, is when do you tuck it and run and get 3, 4, 5 yards versus not just looking to tuck it and run, picking your spots, knowing when you don't need to bail out on the play, you need to go ahead and run what was called versus okay, there's nothing here, I need to get even 3 yards is better than throwing it away, or 3 yards is better than a sack. And so that's the part of his game that has to develop. Reports are that has developed pretty well. They went full pads for the first time yesterday. You don't know much when they're just in helmets and shorts. They've been in shoulder pads several days this week. And quarterbacks are never live, but I think Joe Milton is continuing to show that he's the right leader and that he has developed some of those things that needed it.
There's a few things that are certain in this world, right? And that's Rodney Gardner telling the truth. He had a lot to say about local here, Elijah Simmons, man. What do you think about the number change conversation, and what's the expectation that Rodney has for him going into this season?
Well, I love the premise that he talked about and that Elijah's talked about as well, which is I have a different mentality now, and it's represented by wearing a different number. I love that. That's an awesome way to kind of flip the switch for what is a very important season for you. I love, because my co-host wore number 10, that we now have a big boy wearing number 10, because I just think that's awesome. We can do the who wore it better, skinny, might break in half if you touch him, Eric Ainge versus Elijah Simmons. But look, he's very important because he plays a very important position. This defensive line, needs to create some havoc, and especially he needs to create some havoc in the middle so you get your edge guys like Tyler Barron coming off the edge and doing what they do, so your linebackers can take that next step. He's a very important linchpin for the position he plays as much as how he is developed. And if he is having more of those number 10 days versus number 51 days, then I think it's going to be very, very big for this defensive front. And again, I love the mentality of flipping a switch. The number situation is a little reminder for him every time he goes out there that, hey, this is a different you. You have different expectations than before. We need you to take that next step to hit the goals that we need to hit on defense this year.
And you know what? That number being out there is going to bring a whole lot of attention to him, and he's right. To be a big in a single digit or lower digit number, that carries a lot of weight, no pun intended, because a lot is dependent on this defensive line and the players that they have right now, the transfers that they got in. How more important is this defense this year as opposed to what it was last year with the success this team needs to see?
Well, if your defense at Tennessee this year is in the top half of the SEC, I'm not talking about being elite. Josh Heupel's throwing the word elite out there. They don't need to be elite to elevate this team significantly from where it was last year. I think, the offense made up for some deficiencies last year. But if this team is in the top half of the defense in total defense and points allowed in the SEC, then 10-2 is your floor. Now, that's a big if. You've got to go do it. You've got to do it at all three levels. You've got to do it on the defensive line. Your linebackers have to be where we think they can be. And your defensive backs will have to take a huge step. But all of that's possible. But if they are a top half defense in the SEC statistically, then 10-2 is your floor. There's nobody that's going to beat you with the offense that you have if the defense is playing at a good level. I'm not going to say above average. If they're good to great, then that's your floor. And then, you go down to Tuscaloosa and try to do what only one team's done the last 7 years. You try to end what could be a magical season for Georgia. Those things are on the table if your defense is playing there because of where your offense is. But the defense is a huge part of it, and I think they know that, and I think they've embraced that all off season, knowing that what's the next step for this football team? It's the defense playing at a level that somewhere resembles how the offense plays.
Now, that also leads me to this. Alabama has players talking, and we also know this too, right? When there's something going on that's trending in SEC, Saban goes the opposite direction. It just so happens that now one of his players gave everybody in the SEC bulletin board material by saying, we're going to beat people into submission. I have to ask you, I guess, a two-part question. One, how much do you believe of that? But two, how much of that will actually be a reason why Saban may have to retire if they don't do those things? Because his players wrote a check right now that me personally, I would have that everywhere inside of my building when it comes to facing Alabama this year.
Oh, absolutely. And if I'm an Alabama fan, I'm worried that Nick Saban just paid $17 million for a beach mansion. But, that's in the back of my mind. But, no, I think Alabama wants to get back to being known for being a physical, imposing our will football team.
Yeah.
And that's been their calling card since Nick Saban got there. They've gotten away from that a little bit, and part of that's the game has changed a little bit. For players to come out and say that, I get it, but the whole thing for Alabama this year comes down to what kind of quarterback play do they get. They can play as good a defense as they want. They can have as good a running backs as they want. They have elite talent at every position except quarterback. They don't have elite talent at quarterback. But we have seen Nick Saban's teams year after year after year be able to achieve at a high level with average quarterback play. Now, obviously, they've had Heisman Trophy winners. In addition to that, they weren't playing average. But Alabama's system allows you to win with average talent. Can they get average performance at the quarterback position? That's the whole difference, because it doesn't matter. Tennessee 2005, it doesn't matter if you play elite defense and limit teams to 18 points a game. If your offense can't put the football in the end zone 3 times a game, it doesn't matter how good a defense you play. So, can they do that? I think ultimately the answer is yes, because Alabama's going to figure it out. They have 3 average guys. They can get average to above average quarterback play out of one of them, I have to think. And Nick Saban smiled after his press conference when he was asked about it the other day, and that really makes me nervous. But that's how he operates. He flashes. Yep. He yells at the media about, I don't know about my quarterback play, and then he walks off smiling, and it's disconcerting at best.
It is, Bryan, indeed. Bryan, when it comes to this Vols team, and maybe just some of the players we haven't talked a lot about, some of the younger guys, anybody that you can kind of say, hey, be on alert for this upcoming season?
Well, I think it starts at the wide receiver position with the transfer from Oregon, Dante Gordon. I mean, he's ridiculous. He moves at an elite level. He moves at a squirrel white speed, but in a big body. That's terrifying if I'm a defense, because what do you do to stop that? Who do you match up on that? Do you match up your small speed corner, or do you match up your big safety? Both of them are a failure for a different way. So if he plays up to his ability, then he's the answer. I wonder if Cam Seldon gets on the field this year. Starting at running back, has also played receiver. I think they may draw some things up to get the ball in his hands. As Will mentioned earlier, though, Tennessee doesn't rotate a lot of guys. So this isn't a program that draws up a special package for a guy, because he's going to need to be in the game for the next 5 to 6 plays after a successful package play. But so can he learn some of the other little things so he can get on the field? I think McCall Castles is another answer. You're looking for somebody to replace what you did with Princeton Fan at the tight end position. And that was a big concern of mine in the offseason. How many times during the year did Princeton Fan go get you some yards in a big situation? Maybe as a safety valve, whatever. He did a lot of things in the blocking game. McCall Castles has the body and the ability to both make the key block and then on the next play make the key catch. I think he's not a young guy because he's a transfer, and Thornton's a transfer too. But those are 2 newcomers that I think are going to make a big impact. And then Cam Seldon, if he can learn some of the other things so he can be on the field for more than just some package plays, I think he could be an answer as well. Yeah,
that's a great list, Bryan. I saw one of your tweets, and I think we were both watching Feinbaum yesterday, or at least replays of Greg Sankey. You said giving a master class on why the SEC is the only stable conference. And you're right, Bryan. I come from the Pac-12, where I'm just disgusted with everything that's happened. Larry Scott the loser is what we call him, for what he's done with our conference, or lack of at that time. What is it with Greg Sankey that he just has gotten it? He's thought ahead of time, and the SEC is so lucky to have him.
Well, I mean, I go back to when he was named commissioner. The SEC didn't try to think outside the box or go with some buzzword or try to find a guy who's got a TV background. They promoted the most respected guy on their staff that everybody said, well, that's a natural thing. He's going to do great, and he is, because he's a good leader. Look, the SEC is the only conference that doesn't have any type of grant of rights. If Tennessee wants to get up and leave the SEC tomorrow to go wherever, they'll pat him on the back and say good luck. And somehow that level of trust has kept this conference not only together but thriving for as long as going back to Mike Slive, going back even back to Roy Kramer. It's based on we're together and we are the envy of other places. We have strong football. We have strong basketball. There's nothing that our conference doesn't have. And so Greg Sankey starts from a good place there. But Greg Sankey also has some concept of trying to look out for what's best for college sports.
Yep.
Now, he's not going to do that to the detriment of the SEC, but he comes to his duties with the SEC with the mind frame of, how does this benefit my conference, but how can this benefit everybody? And when you have a whole bunch of people who are only looking out for number one, that ends up being the best situation, because you're making your moves not just with the best interests of your people at heart, but with a mind of what is going to work for everybody. And I think that has served the SEC well. What impressed me, he was on with Feinbaum yesterday. There's a lot of important topics. And he just said, Paul, we're going to blow up the show. I'm here as long as you want.
Yes.
And how many other coaches, athletic directors, commissioners, executives would ever say that? They can't wait to get off, particularly when things are tough, particularly when there are valid questions out there. And he said, you know what, this is too important to compartmentalize in a 45-second answer. I'm here as long as you need me. That's the kind of leadership that you need. And he said one other thing, and I'll end with this on Greg Sankey. The thing that impressed me the most that he said yesterday was, we have all these meetings at the NCAA level about very important topics. Why am I the only person that talks?
Yep.
We have 20 people in the room. Why only 5 people say anything, and I'm the only person that says something of substance? That isn't governance. That's failure of leadership over everybody else. And so, Greg Sankey gets what he wants, or he doesn't get what he wants because people vote against him because he's the only person who has good ideas. That's the failure of leadership in the rest of college sports. That's why the SEC is in a position of strength. They didn't have to go add 2 schools from the West Coast to be in a position of strength or to have the best TV deal. They have the best leader, and that's why I'm not worried about anything the SEC does.
Mm-hmm.
He is Bryan Rice, Sports Radio WNML Vol Network, joining us this morning here on RKW. Bryan, we appreciate the time, and hopefully the next time a Tennessee team heads to Italy, I hope you get the chance to go thrive as much as I know Bob Kessling and Burt Bertelkamp were. And like Burt Bertelkamp trash-talking Lithuanian youth basketball teams, comparing them to Duke, is something that I did not have on my bingo card, but love this summer.
Burt Bertelkamp is a treasure that should be wrapped in bubble wrap between each season. Getting to do 3 games with him when Bob was back in the States to do the Vanderbilt football game was a great honor, but also a great memory because he is a national treasure who should be protected at all costs.
Absolutely. Bryan, we appreciate the time, man. Thanks.
Gentlemen, Kayla, thank you so much.
Thanks, Bryan.
Absolutely. There's Bryan Rice with us this morning here on the show. Literally, like, there was a possession where I think they're playing like the Lithuanian under 23s.
Oh, boy.
And they didn't get a shot up on a possession, and Burt Bertelkamp just goes, that's fine. Duke couldn't do that either. Which is genuinely just Ramon Foster saying, couldn't be my team.
Yeah.
What's the exchange rate on couldn't be my team? Find out next. Coming up, some major sports media news yesterday, and something that will affect your viewing experience when you watch games on ESPN this season. Coming up on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
Kayla Anderson for the Ingram Agency. And let me tell you about this. An agency founded by the ground up in 2010. Chris Ingram, a passionate insurance expert, along with his teams of fully licensed professionals, they've created an agency with one of the largest personal line agencies in Tennessee. So let's say you need new insurance, right? This is a company you definitely want to work with. They specialize in a wide array of products, including auto, home, life, boats, motorcycles, and much, much more. And this isn't your average insurance company. The Ingram Agency was founded on passion and education for support. And their goal has always been to really guide and protect clients comprehensively. So if you want a family-owned insurance company who actually cares about the customer, make sure to call our friends at the Ingram Agency, 615-206-8276. Again, the Ingram Agency, 206-8276.
Wrapping up hour number 3 on your Wednesday morning edition of RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is our number. Rhett Bryan joins the conversation coming up in 15 minutes. Always look forward to our weekly chats with the executive producer of Titans Radio. There is a big change coming to your viewing experience on ESPN. This courtesy of Axios.com yesterday and the official release by ESPN. Penn National will pay ESPN $1.5 billion, billion with a B, over 10 years for the new arrangement of ESPN Bet. ESPN is entering the sportsbook business, and this is a big deal. Penn National has been invested as an owner of Barstool Sports. They now sell all of their shares in Barstool Sports back to Dave Portnoy, the owner of Barstool. That's secondary to the main story, which is that now ESPN Bet and ESPN is essentially going to immerse you even further into the sports gambling world, whether you like it or not. I would expect there's going to be programming based around this. You're going to have shows. They're going to be all about betting and gambling. And here's what you need to bet this weekend is you bet on ESPN Bet. And still in the process, we're going to suspend players indefinitely if they do it as athletes. So if you expected the gambling habits of players to maybe force the NFL and television and major companies like this to back off the gambling thing, absolutely not.
A lot of people are acting like this is a conflict of interest. Do you guys see it that way?
I don't.
I saw Alan Bell's tweet yesterday. It was a faithful to the show. Comes on regularly with 3HL. Kind of say they, with their insiders, people that you report for ESPN, there is somewhat maybe an edge to be given for a Schefter that knows a little bit much, a whoever that's on their staff reporting in these destinations. I can see that being the case, which is why there is such a big issue for players betting. You know a little bit more. This isn't, hey, I'm guessing. This is, I actually know what's going on because coaches text insiders why are insiders insiders? Because they got somebody inside of the bill. I will agree with that one, Bert. I will say that.
I agree with that one. I'm curious, too. So now that ESPN is bringing that as a part of their business, do their employees, are they not able to do certain things with betting then? Because I would think it's similar to the NFL, as their, NFL players are not able to bet on certain things like games. Now you're just looking at the whole ESPN staff and saying, well, is this a similar situation? It's interesting.
It is.
It's very interesting.
It's who was the report about a month or so ago? Oh, for the draft, wasn't it? There was somebody that had an understanding that, hey, this player, he had basically
Will Levis.
Will Levis. He worked for a insider, I guess, and there was bets made on who's going to be number one and everything. And that guy actually works for an agency or something similar. I forget what it was, but there's involvement now.
That is the interesting thing, that you have the ability to move a line based on one report. Mm-hmm. Because a guy on Reddit posted, I'm hearing that Will Levis is telling his friends that he's going to go number one overall. And the line moved in that direction just because of a rumor that was on Reddit that obviously was incorrect, of just some random person with, some random username. Yeah. So ESPN will also receive $500 million in stock warrants over the next decade for purchasing 31.8 million shares of Penn National. I saw this floating around on Twitter yesterday. Does this mean they bring back the ESPN zone in those restaurants? And you have
That's
sports
right.
books. You can have ESPN sports books around the country. That is
probably.
It's kind of cool.
I will say this. I know ESPN, a lot of people have lost their jobs, including this summer, this offseason of football, because of some of the deals and bad business moves that ESPN has made over the last 5-10 years. I think this is a really smart business move for them.
You think the Barstool betting center, not really a betting center yet, but the Barstool bar that opened up on Broadway, do you think it gets rebranded? Do you think all these Barstool restaurants get rebranded as an ESPN Bet bar?
I doubt it, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Barstool is still going to have some kind of sports book. Mm-hmm. But I don't know what the specifics of that looks like. They've had their own sports book, basically. It just hasn't really caught fire the way that I think they had originally hoped. Barstool does a lot of things really well. It's something they've kind of dabbled in and not totally mastered.
Does this bury Barstool when it comes down to that? Because
not at all.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right.
No.
For sure. Just checking. I think it's kind of fishy, but this also explains all the cuts. Like, you get rid of people because why would I pay you to talk about it when I'm going to make money on the betting side?
Crazy thing is, I mean, even if this doesn't work, ESPN still gets $1.5 billion over the next 10 years.
Jeez.
I mean, you talk about a company that wants to keep its talent and pay for people like Joe Buck and Pat McAfee who have joined the roster officially. This is the way you do it.
It is.
I mean, sports betting is the lifeblood of our industry, of the television industry, and seeing a network like this get totally on board. I know a lot of people out there, friends, family, whoever it is, who can't stand the fact that we are so inundated with everything on television right now is about betting. Like, ESPN has a daily segment where their Sports Center anchors will pick someone to hit a home run that night, and they'll give the wager. All of that is just now going to be through ESPN Bet, and an app that is essentially going to be ESPN's own sports book, where every Sports Center segment, you're going to see betting odds. Here's the ESPN Football Power Index on percentage to win, and here's a boost on why you should bet on X, Y, or Z. That gets a little fishy to me, but this is a fascinating look into this. As Fox kind of gets out of the betting industry, ESPN gets in. An interesting contrast there for sure.
This also makes college football even more in depth now, too.
Yeah. Barstool does have a non-compete in betting. Michael makes that point in the F&N Big Chat. I did see that this morning, so that's a good point. So Barstool will not be in the betting industry.
Ooh.
Yeah. Interesting. 615-737-1045, the number. Coming up in hour number 4, Rhett Bryan joins us. What Traylon Burks had to say about advice for rookies when the Titans take the field Saturday against the Chicago Bears, and much more still to come right here on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers Ford, and the Ford F-150 has been the best-selling truck for 46 years, if you did not know. And Two Rivers Ford has been the leading F-150 Ford dealer in our community for 40 years. Two Rivers Ford has a huge selection of F-150s on the lot right now, and they're all priced below MSRP. You see, Two Rivers Ford always sells for the best price. The trucks are clearly marked, no gimmicks, no shenanigans, just an honest deal and a speedy process. And did I mention, Two Rivers Ford has non-commissioned salespeople, so you'll never be pressured into buying anything you don't want to. There's a reason Two Rivers Ford has been the best in business since 1983. So if you're in the market for F-150, call, click, or even go to the lot and see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
What's going on? 9 o'clock on the dot. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. Free agent running back Kareem Hunt left the Saints without a contract, and now Hunt is on his way to Indianapolis to meet with the Colts today. Colts had needed some running back depth as Jonathan Taylor is on the PUP and Zach Moss nursing a broken arm. The Colts had some reinforcements as they signed Kenyon Drake last Friday, looking to add to that with possibly signing Kareem Hunt. Falcons' fourth-round cornerback, Clark Phillips III was carted off the field during yesterday's joint practice with the Miami Dolphins with an apparent lower leg injury. Head coach Arthur Smith said later in the day that he would be fine and the move was precautionary. That makes the second secondary injury that the Falcons have dodged, the first one being Jeff Okudah earlier in training camp. And last night, Nashville SC stayed alive in League Cup play, but only after a wild ending saw some Club America fans rush onto the field in celebration at Geodis Park, and other people in attendance pepper the field with trash and debris. Nashville SC appeared and to be eliminated in the competition between clubs from Major League Soccer and Mexico's Liga MX, but instead advanced to the quarterfinals of the knockout round on penalty kicks after Jack Mayer was allowed to retake a penalty that had previously been saved. Nashville SC will now host Minnesota on Friday. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Would you look at the time? Fourth and final hour of the show already on RKW. We're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville as Rhett Bryan joins us for the fourth and final quarter of the show. Our off-season program has allowed us to be conditioned and ready for the fourth quarter every time it comes to us. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, Rhett Bryan. I'm Will Bowling. Rhett, good morning.
Hey, good buddy. How's it going? There's a game in Chicago Saturday.
Yes, there is.
We heard that.
Yes, there is.
Let's
High
see.
noon.
Titans radio coverage here on the Zone would begin at 9, I believe. We're on the air at 11 with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Titans Countdown. Kickoff at noon with Mike Keith and Coach Mack. Preseason game number 1. Woo. And you can tell, Kayla, these guys are tired of hitting on each other in practice. Phrasing.
Yeah.
They're ready to pop somebody in a different uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that to that place and time.
It is. And I think just yesterday, seeing a couple of the Aziz Al-Shair moves, with him continuing to stand out, the defense continuing to, in some ways light up the offense. But you look at it, Rhett, and you can't really say, oh, the defense is completely dominating, right? Like Mike Vrabel said. Right. Like the offense, like you have to look at practice like this and say there's reasons some things are happening. You can't all say the defense is dominating. I think that's why we love these preseason games still. As they've whittled down, we still like to see them because you really get a more of a feel of how both sides of the ball look.
Well, to your point, and Coach Vrabel, preaches this to those guys every day. I'm sure it's never as good as it seems. It's never as bad as it seems.
Right.
And typically, defenses are leading the way through the first couple of weeks of training camp anyway, because think about this. With the ones, you're essentially returning 8 of 11 starters. Mm-hmm. And then you have an offense that has a lot of pieces that are coming back in place. The offensive line is starting to gel and trying to gel. And there's an implementation of a new offense with Tim Kelly. So nature tells you that, the defense is going to be ahead of the game to begin with, but add in these factors, and that really is where we are. And listen, that's no slight to the offense. They've had some moments.
They have.
So, and look, they'll get some work in Chicago on Saturday, but the real thing that's coming up is next Wednesday and Thursday in Minneapolis when they have joint practices, and then they'll do that again the following week here at home against the Patriots. That is where the true work, I think, value is. The preseason games nowadays, for the most part, are for the young guys, the first-year guys, the rookies, in terms of the day of structure of a game. And I'm sure Mike Vrabel's probably thrilled that this is a noon kickoff Saturday because it's much like a lot of the schedule will be, as we are creatures of habit.
Sure.
Yes, we are. And you guys are right. Like the lead up to the game on Saturday, it pretty much starts today. Like you do the finishing touches on some stuff you need to go over. Coaches will give you a play sheet and say, hey, here's the roster. It's all you need to know about what's going on and just go play ball. This will be fascinating to see how they really break it down. And just the flow of the game, too, to me, I think is going to be unique because a lot of stuff we'll see happen in practice, actually you kind of get by with in the game. Those deep passes, we'll see if we're actually seeing them run to the end zone, what does it actually look like? Guys strain and how this offensive line is going to come together. And truthfully, the second wave of the defense, too. That's going to be more fascinating than anything else I think we learned in this first game.
Well, Ramon, you're right on the money because the 2s and the 3s is what I've been watching as much of in the last few days because – in all honesty, and I don't know this, but I would feel like a lot of the starters may not even travel to Chicago, and it'll be a lot of those guys that are vying for spots. Sure. And it'll be a keen eye on special teams, who's the gunners to try to keep up with these monster punts that Ryan Stonehouse will be laying down. The kicking battle, we talked to Trey Wolf yesterday about he and Caleb Shudak, and he says, at some point I know that I'm going to have to put the brown thing through those yellow things, and I know there'll be a place holder for me and a line to do that. So it's just, a lot of it is the mechanics of the thing, but not discounting preseason games because you're right, Ramon. How does that defense react against an offense? And you're actually hitting each other now. Yeah. You have to actually protect your quarterback now. All of these things to get you some valuable reps.
And Rhett, I would think too, just the important backup battle that is happening at quarterback. This is big for both of them. These are big moments for them.
I think it's one of the more intriguing storylines in a Titans preseason that already has so many veteran players returning. That is one. The kicker battle we just mentioned is another.
Yep.
And then this offensive line and how all that works out. Leading up to New Orleans, September the 10th.
Rhett, Bryan with us now for Hour 4. Let's get to what Treylon Burks had to say yesterday coming off the practice field. And you're going to hear a couple of things in this answer when asked about his advice that he's giving to rookies. A, he has advice readily available to give and kind of jumps quickly to answer. I've talked to these guys a lot about this. And B, you get a Mike Vrabel-esque non-answer to another question. Here's Treylon Burks.
He's not on your side of the ball, but how excited are you guys to see Terrell get this kind of opportunity this week?
I'm very excited. He's a great player. He's growing. And, it's just a game of tell whatever, he's capable of, and we're ready to see it.
Do you know if you'll play or not?
I don't know.
Do you want to?
I mean, it's up to Braves. It's not mine.
Anything that I know you're only second year, but you've said the game slowed down. You're having fun. You tell these rooks anything getting ready for this preseason game?
Honestly, just don't overthink it. It's football. Just go out there and have fun. Everybody makes mistakes, and forget about them. Move on to the next play and just keep going.
What do you think offensively? You guys have done steps forward just in terms of last week?
Just being together, honing in on the details, and just growing each day that we come out here and practice.
We talked to Hopkins. He said that you were, getting more aggressive in terms of like wanting certain routes, wanting the ball in certain situations. Are you a lot different with that this year?
I'm here for the team. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get the ball. If I don't get the ball, I'm just here to help win.
Does some of that stuff come with just being more comfortable with what the offense is doing?
Yeah, it comes with knowing, feeling better with the play calls, knowing each side of the ball, being able to switch and just go out and play.
There's a quiet confidence there, Rhett, to Treylon Burks, and you can tell a player has spent time around Mike Vrabel when their word-for-word answer is, I'm just about the team. That's what Vrabel tells them all the time.
I was also checking my audio checking my ear, see if my ear's in midseason 4. I'm like, all right, Corey Curtis, News 2.
Nice.
Kayla Anderson right here. And Gentry Estes, Tennessee.
Outstanding.
I think I got
Good
those,
form there,
right? Yeah, here's the thing about Traylon. First of all, Traylon doesn't seem to be an outspoken type of guy anyway. And I don't pretend to know what's going on between his ears, but I do believe that all of this, whatever happens in this preseason, the guy has come out to stack practices every day. A year ago, the asthma stuff was reported. We had him in an iron lung like he had, something terrible back in the 50s or something. And he got himself right. He asked the right people, how do I do this? How do I be a pro? How do I eat right? How do I train right? And I think, and I'm not flash forwarding for him, but it's September 10th in New Orleans. He's ready for that first target and that first catch and to make something happen with it and start building off of, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yep. 100%. And it's good that he's requesting stuff. Again, I love the fact that he kept that behind the scenes because the narrative will be, oh, you asking for the ball all the time. You won't, like that. You're not catching it. If he had one drop or something,
Right.
and he just played it to the left. It's like, nah, man, I'm just here to try to help this team win as much as possible. Smart, understands what he's doing right now. And if that is true, right? And I guess it is. He won't say it's true or not that he's asking more routes to certain routes. But that ought to tell you, one, where Tim Kelly is in developing stuff for this offense. I don't know what the run-pass ratio is going to be. I hope it's 50-50 because that means you're balanced up and both things are efficiently working. But the fact that he's asking for passing routes lets you know the freedom that Tim Kelly has and the way he wants to expand what this offense has been doing in years past,
On that note, Rhett, I don't know if you caught this when Derrick Henry was up at the podium yesterday and was asked about, well, we're seeing a lot of you in practice because, sometimes even in training camp with vets like him, they're not out there every single day. And he immediately said, well, this is Tim Kelly now running the offense. There's a lot of nuance to this. There's a lot of new things added in. I wanted to be here and I want to be out there so that by the time you go to the field for a real game, we're all on the same page. And that's kind of what we've seen from all these vets.
I think it's part of that. But I can speak to other players on the other side of the ball who I've seen practice a lot.
Sure.
And I go back to what has Mike Vrabel said in the past towards the end of the season. I think he said it this time a year ago about, are you a blister or are you a callus?
Yep.
And obviously you want to be a callus because you want to just be that tough dude, right?
Right.
Well, how many days you've seen Danico Autry miss practice?
I was just going to say that,
Zero.
Rhett. Yes.
Zero. Now, we'll probably get to a point where they'll have some vet days where they'll wind some stuff down. But I've seen a lot of guys who have no problem making this roster. They're not going to be anywhere near the bubble. They are practicing their rear ends off.
Yeah.
Great point.
So I think that is part of a refocus of getting this team ready, and also in an effort to try to stave off the injury bug that has been so terrible the last 2 seasons. You heard Mike Vrabel talk about 2 on, 1 off. 1 off meaning instead of a jog through, it's more of a walk through. And I think they're starting to see some benefits of that. Yeah. Not as many guys lined up on bikes, knock on wood. Let me knock on wood somewhere.
Yep.
But yeah, there's been a refocus in this thing. And the Tim Kelly offense is a huge part of that. But I think it's a team thing through all 3 phases.
Rhett, Bryan, our guest here Wednesdays at 9 o'clock on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. And when we come back, we continue with the Titans conversation and dive into a couple of players who will be under the spotlight on Saturday in Chicago, specifically at the wide receiver position, where a very interesting battle continues featuring some undrafteds and a local that was just drafted.
And Will, I also, sorry to interrupt.
You're good.
But I want to tease this.
Yeah.
We need to talk about a man who came in to this coaching staff in 2018, was elevated to D-line coach, assistant head coach, who gets to call the plays and do it all Saturday in Chicago.
Absolutely. You interrupt me anytime you want with good teases like that. Rhett, Bryan with us. RKW continues after this.
It's Ramon and Kayla for Window Nation. Kayla, we always talk about the deals that Window Nation has going for you right now.
Yeah.
And with mortgage rates so high right now, it's a difficult time to move. So invest in your home now with new windows from Window Nation. Well, right now, y'all, this is the best thing that's going on. You can save thousands today. They have no money down, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. Plus, get 50% off all styles, including bows, bays, double pane, double hung, and any style window you want. So protect and increase the value of your house today if you're not moving by calling 866-90-NATION or going online to windownation.com.
And we mentioned, it is still that time of the year where we're dealing with the hot, humid temperatures. So that requires you to pump up your AC. And if you don't have good windows like the windows from Window Nation, that AC is going right out the window, literally. Save up to 30% on your energy bills by just investing in windows from Window Nation. They have installed nearly 2 million windows with 96 perfection rate, making them one of the top window companies in the entire country. And the average installer, they have a lot of experience, over 16 years to be exact, with over 20,000 windows installed. So get in on this deal today. No money down, no payments, and no interest for 2 full years. You can check them out at windownation.com or simply call 866-90-NATION.
Wednesday morning continues on RKW, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. We've got the best of our love for Titans football on Saturday.
Woo, look at
Demonstrating
that.
love and affection. With Rhett, Bryan in studio, 615-737-1045. If you've got a Titans question or concern here in hour 4.
The emotions. If you can't get up and shake your tail feather to this one, you got something wrong.
If this don't light your fire, your wood's wet.
There it is.
There it is.
You know what? Depending on where you at in the South, that can keep the mosquitoes away. A little wet wood burn. A little smoky right there, Ray.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. A little
Sure.
wet wood will do that for you. Keep the
Might
mosquitoes
put some in a
away.
canister and squirt some on the bees there.
That's all.
Beekeeping.
You know why they do that? You tell me if I'm wrong, because you might know the real answer. But they use smoke on bees because the smoke makes them think there's a fire by the hive, which makes them go drink the honey, which makes them drunk, which actually makes it easier for you to take the honeycomb away.
That's a chain effect.
The smoke.
They don't want that smoke.
They don't
No,
want the
they
smoke.
don't.
Like Penny Hardaway, they don't actually want the smoke.
Wow.
Yeah. So I may be off a little bit on it, but that's what the smoke does. Make them think there's a fire.
Beekeeper knowledge from Ramon.
There we
Unbelievable.
go.
Yeah.
Wow.
I met
Look
a
at the
person.
brain on Mo.
Well, I know. I met somebody that actually. Well, no, one of the dads on my team owns a bee farm too, and like when the winter hits in the next few months, they're gonna transport those bees to Florida and to California. Like there's 18-wheelers with nets around them.
Wow.
That transport bees. Bee transporting is a big business.
They be living good.
Hey now.
There we go.
That might be doing it.
That might be doing.
You got dad jokes, I got dog mom jokes.
There you
Okay.
go.
Rhett, by the way, we buried the lead this morning.
Okay.
Have you heard about Ramon Foster's new nickname?
No, I thought it was Savage.
So Ramon,
Right.
this is under review from Ron Slay.
under review.
The Honorable Judge Slay has not presided yet over this ruling. He says he's taking it under consideration. But yesterday, Ramon was looking at some shoes in a little two-tone blue, a little red swoosh on it
Yeah.
to wear on the sidelines.
Oh.
We were talking about this, and we were like, oh, Ramon's going to be in two-tone blue. He should be known as Two-Tone Moan moving forward.
Just dropped in the chat, right? And then that's how nicknames get started, man. So it's
I
under
like it.
review.
Two-Tone Moan.
I like it.
I knew you would.
I'm here for that.
that.
Yes. Let's do that.
This would be my
Two-tone moan.
wow. It's
Sounds
floating
dangerous.
Right now.
Hey,
It's
by the
floating.
way, and I know we teased a bunch of things before we went to the break. How about newtitanstadium.com?
Yep.
Yeah. Talked about
That just
that
dropped.
this morning,
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is an immersive view of what it's going to be like, what it's going to look like, and you can participate. That is pretty cool. Pretty
That
cool.
is.
Pretty doggone cool.
Looks awesome. Yeah, tickets August 15th to join the wait list. Like August 15th is in like 6 days from this hour, I believe, according to the website, which has
Next
that countdown.
Tuesday.
That's right.
Awesome.
Rhett, talking about Terrell Williams, a great opportunity for Mike Vrabel to elevate another member of his staff in a unique way. We've seen him do this, obviously, with guys like Arthur Smith and Tim Kelly moving up within the staff to get new roles as full-time on-field coaches. This one a little bit different for a one weekend only. And honestly, a heady play for Mike Vrabel, who gets one less press conference in his future.
Yeah, he's probably thrilled about that. I mean,
No, I shouldn't start with that part of the story
No.
because it is a good story.
it's a fantastic story. First of all, Terrell Williams, he came into the staff as a hire of Mike Vrabel in 2018 when Mike became the head coach. And this offseason was elevated to defensive line coach, assistant head coach, which you don't get empty titles thrown around. I mean, there's some credence to that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you see how much the players gravitate towards him, and not just in that defensive line room. Talking to Jeffrey Simmons yesterday, he's thrilled that his position coach gets an opportunity like this. He said, "But I don't want him to come in our room on Friday with all the different attitude and the big head." He said, "We won't let him back in the room."
That was great.
But he also plans on giving him Gatorade bath if there's a win.
Nice.
Which I thought was a nice touch. But listen, very deserving, smart guy. And I admire Coach Vrabel for seeing this in people, trusting people, and giving people opportunities in a place where the league needs more diversity, period. And it's not as much that as it is he believes in him as a coach.
Yeah.
Yep.
He just happens to be a black man.
Black man.
Right?
100%.
So, and look, this may be beginning the Vrabel coaching tree in this thing because I'm looking at his staff right now, and I'm telling you, Charles London's probably going to be a head coach somewhere.
Yep.
Justin Outen may end up being a head coach somewhere. I'm trying to think who else.
Shane Bowen.
Shane. I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys that you could look to.
Yep.
That could be, I mean, it's the same way I feel about Rand Carthon's lieutenants and Chad Brinker and Anthony Robinson. I think both those guys are going to be general managers for another franchise somewhere down the road.
Yeah.
So it's a heck of an opportunity for Terrell Williams to do this. And I noticed somebody asked him, did the situation a couple of years ago when Vrabel got COVID and John Stryker coached the last preseason game, he said, no, totally different. And I'm glad that he didn't even let that breathe to the fact that this is an important step for a valued assistant coach and the assistant head coach in this thing. I think it's a very cool move on his part, and I'm very excited for Coach Williams. Very deserving.
Pretty cool. Yesterday, Mike Vrabel was talking on NFL Network about this, and NFL Network doing their visit to Titans training camp yesterday, and he joked and said, there's so many procedural things that you don't know about until you do them as the head coach. He said, played that first game in Miami, and we meet with the officials before the game, and I'm going to have Terrell do that, meet with the officials, and they go, you got the punt card? Mike Vrabel goes, what the heck is a punt card? Why am I supposed to have a punt card? Who's got my punt card? Just walking around like, what in the world do I need for this? Yeah. But there are things that you don't know the head coach does procedurally in terms of just playing an NFL football game until you do them.
Well, to your point, and I go back to there was that season of All or Nothing on Amazon Prime where it's about the Rams moving to Los Angeles, and head coach Jeff Fisher, is let go, and Coach Mack is prominent in this episode, and he's addressing the team saying, hey, every one of our butts let this guy down. It's our fault, but we got to pick up the pieces and go. And the interim was John Bones Fossil, who, was the special teams coach at the time. And as a part of the episode, Coach Mack is on the practice field. He said, I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
And he's just off the top of his head naming 50 things that, we've got to help you take care of, like you're talking about with the punt card. I mean,
right.
And that's Mike Vrabel as a student of the game and one of the smarter head coaches in this league, admitting moments of, there's a moment of not weakness, but, being exposed and what you don't know in the thing. So, yeah, I think it's, and obviously he'll be there to help in whatever capacity that he needs to help. But I think it's great that Terrell Williams is getting an opportunity in this. And I think you will start to see other teams in the league start to do this, much like, when we saw the Senior Bowl. They didn't have a head coach. It was assistants and coordinators that were coaching these games. And I think you'll start to see a trend move towards those types of activities to get a rep in as a head coach.
I agree, because it's one thing to say, oh, we're going to try to do this, or the Rooney Rule, we're going to try to, get some of our guys that are assistants here in the mix there. But that's another thing to actually do it and give them the opportunity to have some eyes on them in an actual game situation. That's the difference. It's acting really upon it.
Well, and the thing about the Rooney Rule is this, and Ramon, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I would rather be, if I'm a black man, I would rather be considered on my credits as a coach, not as to what the and listen, I understand they incentivize it to try to push those things forward. I get all that.
Yeah.
But I would feel like, am I good on my own merits?
Right.
I don't care if I'm green and from Mars. Can I coach?
And
right?
the thing that I've always seen when it comes down to this, One, and any coach will tell you, there's a logjam of people trying to become coaches or at least get that notoriety too, right? When it comes down to minority, not just black, but like Asian American, females, everybody when it comes down to it. And just being honest and real with y'all, I've seen these coaching searches, all of us have, right, in the media. And we see certain names dropped into that bucket. It was just like, stop. You know this guy's satisfying the Rooney Rule. Like, don't disrespect the process. It's one thing to just say, okay, we have a rule in place, we got to follow the rules. But to say, I'll throw a name out there. For instance, like Hines Ward getting an interview, I forget what, maybe it may have been the Giants or somebody recently. Like, I respect and love the heck out of Hines Ward. But I didn't think Hines Ward was in the running for a head coaching job when it comes down to the NFL. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I said it respectfully because he's a head coach of a USFL team, I think, now. But there are certain pathways to go through when you have this type of situation.
It's the Texans that interviewed him.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so it's that, like, if you're good, you're good.
Knowing that he had no experience coaching in the National Football League.
In the National Football League.
At any level, really.
And I think he may have went to Baltimore assistant wide receiver coach or something like that recently. But respect the process of what it is. I think Vrabel moving over and say, hey, look at my guy. You know what I'm saying? Not look at my guy like he's, an underling or nothing like that, but like, this is how we need to do this so that now you have to see him on the sidelines. You have to watch his operation. And then the other portion of it is, too, it's just like I'm teaching my son how to drive right now. Getting reps at this type of stuff of being in control, the punt card, the ref meetings before the game. Like, if we have an understanding of what the operation is, now I know how to maneuver better as a position coach. Oh, there's a lot more than just holding the play sheet and telling the OC and DC what to do.
Yep.
There's an operation. So to get real live reps at those things, it's just, like I said, studying a driver's test. Well, let's get on the road. Now let's see what we're all about. You know what I'm saying? So I said it a couple days ago. I still tip my hat to Vrabel because this not only moves the needle, you're actually putting it out there and honestly sacrificing yourself in a sense. Like, Vrabel didn't have to do this one. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool.
And that's what he said at the end of the statement was, this is something I wanted to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this ain't no pat on the back. He's like,
no, he's not going to do that.
this
Mike
ain't
Vrabel,
that.
that's not how he operates.
No. He will be there as the penultimate sounding board because he's done it. But, it's a really cool dynamic, and I would love to see something like this blossom into something valuable.
But I'll say this, too. When you have coaches who are former players, sometimes they just miss on those. They swing and a miss when it comes down to former player. But one thing I've always liked about sports, and I hate it when we all experience the political side of sports a few years back, right? But I always said this: sports is a place where the playing field becomes as level as possible.
That's right.
I know we're still fighting the quarterback stigma, but even that now has pushed itself to the back burner with minority players playing quarterback. When let's go 30 years back, a black man's brain doesn't have the capacity to play quarterback. We're getting past all of that now. But players that are in these positions like Vrabel, they play with black guys, Asian American guys, interracial guys, to where you don't see the color, you see the production in the person. Vrabel mindset is, man, this dude has been in the league and coaching way more than I have. Why doesn't he have the opportunity? You see it different sometimes. And some former players or just bad coaches, we hear stuff about the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hit or miss, but the understanding of the playing field, Vrabel gets that, and that's one thing made me a bigger fan. I'll say that.
And there's implicit trust there that's like, you've earned this opportunity.
And that's all coaches say, show me.
Right.
Rhett, the wide receiver position will be under the microscope with the quarterbacks this weekend. You mentioned it in our opening segment that this is as interesting of a quarterback battle and just as interesting of a storyline as we've seen in a Titans training camp. I love the fact that in these preseason games, guys, every single snap is noteworthy. Not to, insinuate that in the past it's just been irrelevant. It's Titans football. We're going to watch every snap of it, whether it's, a quarterback battle or not. But interesting to see the chemistry that Will Levis and Malik Willis have created with a large group of wide receivers who have impressed, and Kieris Jackson and Trayshawn Harrison, the two that I feel like keep popping up. Who else are you watching in addition to those two at the wide receiver position?
Reggie Robertson.
Okay.
That's another one that moves the needle for me a bit. Colton Dowell, I think, just because of the local aspect of this. And another guy who was going to be off to a really great start in this is Kyle Phillips. Kyle Phillips could be the difference maker in this wide receiving core when you look at it top to bottom. Racey McMath always seems to do well in practice and those things. Transferring that to the playing surface in this, he's a guy I always watch in this.
What's the difference in, you named so many guys, and you're right. I mean, every day at practice, we're seeing these rookies or these younger guys making plays, and it is hard to try to count down that wide receiver room, and I don't know how many they'll hold.
Right.
You know,
if they keep 5, boy, that's some difficult
It
decisions when you get to that 5th
What
guy.
does it come down to then, Rhett?
Sheer numbers at wherever they have, however the roster's parsed out.
And special teams, if you can contribute.
That's the tipping point usually. That is the tipping point. But yeah, there's some talented young receivers like Reggie Robertson I bring up because, he comes off of the ACL last year that he had in college. And the production at SMU was there.
Yes.
The injuries is what, slowed him down. Guy can make some plays. So, but yeah, Kearis Jackson is interesting. Trayshawn Harrison that you mentioned, both of those guys have made plays in the practice field. Now it's a game-setting situation where you're coming out of the tunnel at Soldier Field in Chicago, where a lot of great players have played over the years. But yeah, the wide receiver battle it's real because here's Mason Kinsey hanging around, and I mentioned Colton Dowell, Kyle Phillips, and because I don't have it on authority, but I figure probably Traylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins and a couple of those won't play in this thing. But this is going to create the reps for the other guys.
I'm excited.
Can't wait. Titans Radio back on the air as well. We are always good to just hear you guys talk football.
We're excited. I'm putting the hay in the barn as we speak and getting pregame together. The Farm Bureau Health Plans Titans countdown. And it's good to get the band back together and go on the road and do a ball game. It's time.
Can't wait.
I'll be listening.
Rhett Bryan with us Wednesdays at 9 o'clock. Rhett, thank you.
Thank you all.
Coming up next, midweek motivation from Inky Johnson. A little shot of motivational speaking for your life, for your Wednesday this morning. I need it. You probably need it too. Coming up next.
It's Ramon Foster here to tell you about Zen Sports, the new sports betting app in Tennessee, revolutionizing sports betting rewards. Yes, rewards. What if I told you you're wasting your time and money betting on any sports book that's not Zen Sports? Zen Sports offer real cash rewards for those lucky enough to be in Tennessee, and that means no funny money, points, or credits. For instance, for a welcome bonus, you can earn 5% cash back on every bet you place for your first 15 days with no limit on your bonus when you use a referral bonus code, and then earn up to 3% cash back on your bets after that with the Zen Sports loyalty program. So make the switch today and start betting on Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you later. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. You must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Wrapping up the show on our own Kayla and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Get to our kicker minute right now before we kick it to the Buck Rising Show.
Yeah.
Trey Wolf with a good day yesterday, guys. Had 2 makes at the end of 2-minute drives. Will Levis and Malik Willis each orchestrating 2-minute field goal drives. And he was 8 of 9 for kicks in a special teams period. His one miss was from 40 yards away. Finished the day 10 of 11. Jim Wyatt has him 42 of 47 in camp. Caleb Shudak did not kick yesterday, and he is 36 of 40 in camp.
They've still been rotating.
That's right.
And is highly contested, too, as far as like in practice. They get up for this.
Yeah.
They really do.
I know. I love it.
Yeah.
You will never not have a kicker situation, whether that be good or just unknown in Tennessee. I've learned to just accept it since I've been here.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
All right, blind taste test. Before seeing any of these guys kick in preseason, who are we going with?
Shudak.
I'm going to go Shudak, too.
I'm going to go Shudak just because when they're very loyal in situations. He was the first one in. He hasn't done anything to lose it.
I'll sit on the island then, because how cool would it be? He knocks down a 50-yarder and they play. How cool would that be?
Like the That'd be awesome. Yeah, because they got to retire the again fake bro country they play after kicks right now. Yeah, you gotta kick a little. I don't know what the rest of the words
the
are.
music has to be changed inside of Nissan. Is that what we're saying? They need a new playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Desperately.
Mm-hmm.
They need to revamp a lot of game experience stuff.
Do they?
Oh my gosh.
And it's not one of those, we're saving everything for the new stadium. We ain't trying. We need it now.
No, they need it right now.
We need it now.
They need it now.
The Ring of Fire video they put out about the new stadium is fantastic.
So cool.
I do enjoy that.
Yeah.
Anything Johnny Cash, done. Sold.
Sign me up.
Sold.
Send it.
I
do not send it back.
Stays busy too. Jeez, that museum
Oh, yeah.
stays busy.
What does?
The
Johnny
Cash Museum.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's a bar too.
Right.
That's fair too.
You're not supposed to tell everybody about that. That's the
Speak
sneaky
easy.
part of it. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. There's a museum, and there might just happen to be a bar.
Might.
Guess what? If you're listening, check it out.
Might be do it now.
Someone's gonna punish me and shoot me just to watch me
ruined
die
it.
now after saying that.
There you go. Or get you renamed as Sue.
Yeah.
There you
Either
go.
way.
Hubie in the F&M Bank chat says Kick a Little was Little Texas from 1994. Definitely need a playlist update at Nissan Stadium.
Who was Little Texas?
That's
don't
the son
even
of
know
Big
them.
Texas.
I've heard I was
Oh
gonna
my
say I heard of
gosh.
Lil Wayne.
Does he have little X's there also in Texas? Or do they now hang their little hats in Tennessee?
What about Lil Troy? Is that used to be a baller? What about Lil Troy? You ain't got him out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, unlike
Baller.
the rappers, there actually are T's in the little. Like, it's not Lil Wayne.
Right.
Not Lil Texas. It's Little
What
Texas.
about Little Richard then?
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
We could do that actually. You know what I'm saying?
I used to be able to play that on the piano.
What happened
Really?
to you,
Back in
man?
the day.
You used to
I
be
know.
such an aspiring young man.
I used to be cool.
Rounded.
Yeah.
Not
Then my
anymore.
voice cracked in the middle of a goal for Nashville SC.
Oh, couldn't be my announcer.
Oh my god.
My bad. You brought that on your own.
I am your
my
announcer.
gosh.
Whether you like it or not, you are locked in contractually to me being your announcer.
So
By
funny.
God,
Nobody's bulletproof on this thing.
put the
baby.
surprise back in your voice.
Oh, Will had a nice call. Couldn't be mine.
All right. Okay.
I'm like Jaleel right now.
You are
Yeah,
an
my
instigator.
broadcast partner,
yeah.
Jaleel Anibaba, after the game
Exactly.
was like,
You guys need to meet.
wasn't your best, but yeah, you know what? Which I did. We talked after the game. I was like, the hard part of this job is that you can do 90% of the game perfectly. But if you miss the one big moment in the 10%, it's all people are going to remember.
You know,
I'm being hard on
Yeah.
myself, too. It wasn't that bad.
you know what that sound like?
What?
The life of an offensive lineman.
I was going to say, there's a lot of similarities
go.
there, honestly.
By the way, the one-on-ones look real good on both sides yesterday, too.
Yeah, they
Offensive
did.
boys. I was watching from
they
a
did.
distance. Yeah.
Word on the street is Peter Skronsky held his own a little bit yesterday in one-on-ones.
Peter Skronsky is that guy. He's that dude.
Bronsko hadn't gotten up airlifted anymore
Right?
either.
Dillard looks
down.
good too.
He does.
Dillard's looking better.
It's one look quirk I'm hoping get cleaned up this weekend I saw from Dillard. But overall, yes, Kayla.
After Ramon's out here educating the masses about Brunskill. Proving you're right.
Hey.
Ramon
There you
knows
go.
ball.
Will the O-lineman.
Could be my co-host. See, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to choose kindness
Look at that.
instead of violence.
Lies.
One
Stay
guy who
safe
chooses
tonight, by the way.
kindness and motivation and a little bit of violence, too, on the side. Maybe sometimes. Inky Johnson is here for Midweek Motivation. Wrapping up the show on your Wednesday morning. Back at it 6 a.m. tomorrow for Friday Junior. We'll talk to you then.
Show you the trick of life, right? I'm gonna tell y'all the trick of life, right? This is the trick of life. In life, you can be so gifted, right? And so I want y'all to hear this, right? You can be so gifted, so talented, right? So skillful. Something can serve as an advantage your whole life. I'm talking about it can make you win. It can get you out of problems. It can help you problem solve. Like it can be I'm talking about it can be your Thanos, right? Your joint, right? It's it, right? Your strengths, right? This is the trick of life. If you don't personally develop, right? If you don't grow, if you don't evolve, at a certain point in your life, your advantage is going to become your disadvantage. Guarantee you. That's the importance of hard work. That's the importance of dedication. That's the importance of commitment. That's the importance of integrity. That's the importance of accountability. So when you face something that you've never faced before, so when you encounter something that you've never encountered before, so when you find yourself in uncharted territory, when you face an opponent that you've never faced before, the one thing you don't question is you. Because the moment you question you in the midst of something that you've never faced before, game over, Jack.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. And when it comes to large home repairs, a lot of time we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We're afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed now, or it could be a small problem that'll become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line, we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. We need a peace of mind. The United Structural System is the company to give you that. They have over 25,000 100% satisfied residential customers, and here's how they make that happen. They have an attitude and culture, and that's the reason why they keep their employees year after year. So when they show up to your house, you're familiar with who's showing up, from project managers to customer service to production. Some have even been with USS for 25 plus years. And if you do have some foundation repair or waterproofing work done, you also have the peace of mind knowing that USS will provide an honest diagnosis and stand by their work and warranties. Homeowners trust USS. They have been keeping homes dry and stable for over 25 years, and they guarantee their best. Contact them at 615-488-7855 or reach out to them also on the website, USSTN.com.